right up into the I-35 corridor and into the 435 loop. So we've got 3 separate warnings. We're going to kind of go from north down towards the southwest first. So the first warning that we've got goes until 6:45. That's portions of the northern side of the metro. We're talking Clay, Leavenworth, Platte, Wyandotte County. It has a considerable tag. Golf ball sized hail is a possibility, as well as 60-mile-per-hour winds. So this continues until 6:45. If we go a little bit further towards the south, because I'm going to get our bearings first, and then eventually we'll go and track all of these as well. We go a little bit further towards the south. There is a considerable tag for this morning as well. Portions of Johnson, Leavenworth, Wyandotte County moving through DeSoto right now at this time. Also, on the right side of your screen, you can see we've got a lot of good cameras right now showing those storms at this point. So this particular warning for portions of Johnson, Leavenworth, Wyandotte counties goes till 6:45. Notice there is a tornado possible tag on this. We're going to monitor that for potential rotation as we are going to continue to see this move towards the northeast. But I assume this is likely going to be for golf ball sized hail as well. And I'll just double check that for you. Yes, golf ball sized hail, 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Both of those storms moving at 40 miles an hour to the northeast. We then go one more storm section to the south on the very left end of this, I should say. As you can see, as we get closer to Baldwin City, that's where we have another warning as well. That is going till 6:30 p.m. That includes Douglas counties too. So around 8,000 people affected. I assume, once again, this is going to be golf ball sized hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. So now that we've got our bearings, let's kind of take a wide look at what's going on. And then we are going to put tracks on these as well and kind of go storm by storm. So here's a wider look of that. I'm going to put a loop on. As you can see, these have just fired up and are now lifting off towards the northeast and will continue to do so pretty quickly around 40 miles per hour. So let's zoom in on the storm right now that's moving through portions of the northern side of the 435 loop and northern Kansas City at this point. I know a lot of people probably on their way home right now from work as well. And with large hail and strong winds, something that's very important that we're going to watch closely. So as we get closer, I'm going to zoom in on my radar. I'm going to click this watch warn off and pause as well for the storm motion. So right now I'm going to zoom in real close. As you can see, strongest part of the storm likely back on the northern side of it, north of Shawnee, where we're starting to see more of those lightning bolts. This kind of lighter color, gray color, also watching that where the most likely spot of hail is going to be. As terms of rain and thunderstorm activity, lifting over to the northern side of the 435 loop up towards Parkville. So this is moving right now around 40 miles an hour. So these developed quick. They're going to continue to move quick. And so I'm going to put a track on there so we can see where it's going and how soon it will get there. So I also have our meteorologist, Mike Nico, with me here this evening. We'll be with you through the entirety of this event and bringing the latest information as well. So let's put a stop on this. We'll take a look at where this is headed. And then we will see and talk about where it is going and kind of diagnose our radar as well as we continue to see these move pretty quickly to the northeast around 40 miles an hour. So I'm going to pull it basically from where we're seeing kind of the larger hail potential right now at this point. Keep in mind, we've got about, 30, 40 more minutes left on this, moving towards the northeast. So here's the first warning, and I want to get it over to Mike as well. I'm going to send it right over to you, Mike.
All right, what we're looking at is the possibility of golf ball size hail in Maywood. It should be there within a few minutes. We're just watching the National Weather Service here in Slack, just like we did last Friday. It says strong signal for up to golf ball size hail near and east of Maywood. It'll be there in about 10 minutes. So what is happening? These things are going up so quick. We talked about we could go from nothing to severe within 30 minutes, maybe 45, and that's exactly what's happening. That's why you have to have your plan ready. That plan being cover anything outside that you can before the storm gets there. And when you're covering that, or bring it in, find shelter. We could have up to apple-sized hail out of these storms as they roll through. So find shelter for anything that's outside, bring it in. Also, that means stay away from the windows when this hail is coming down. go into your interior room, wait for these storms to pass, because maybe they're not producing the tornado right now, but they are producing large hail, and we know there's enough rotation out there that they could produce a quick tornado, just like we had Friday. Back to you.
Thanks, Mike. I'm going to take a look at the second storm as well, because even as the first one moves through the area, if you're up in portions of northern Kansas City, there is still more of a line of storms that's starting to connect and conglomerate together right now at this point. So even as you move towards the northeast, you still have storms with the possibility of golf ball sized hail still heading your way as well. So let's get a track on that. As you can see, it's that second severe thunderstorm warning. Overall, moving around 40 miles an hour at this point. So around 6:28, that's moving towards, well, I guess what time is it right now? It's 6:20 right now. So 6:28 moving towards Cedar Air Park, around 6:36 towards places like Zara as well as Holiday, moving into Lenexa around 6:40, and then eventually Overland Park around 6:46 p.m. Leawood closer to around 7 at 6:50. So we're watching these two. Then the southern end of this, as you can see, it's flashing yellow right now. Still seeing that continuation of that severe thunderstorm warning, but these are all lifting up towards the northeast here pretty quickly, around 40 miles an hour. As I mentioned, and Mike had mentioned, we're watching that possibility for rotation to occur. There is the possibility for very large hail. This tornado tornado watch has the possibility to see apple-sized hail. That is very, very large hail. Golf ball-sized hail will be a possibility with these storms right now. So we're going to continue to bring you updated. We're going to continue to watch these as these start to parade and kind of conglomerate into one large line as they go up the I-35 corridor. So I'm going to send it over to Mike. Mike, do you have any new information?
Well, it looks like you're talking about apple-sized hail out of that storm that is in Wyandotte, Leavenworth, and Clay County over the river on the other side in Platte. It looks like it could produce tennis ball-sized hail. That is about 2.5 inches. That is going to cause some damage. Now, if you're out ahead of that storm, which Melissa has a good track on if you want to go back to her max source, that white you see, that is just northeast of Bonner Springs, right along, is that Interstate 70? Right, it just went north of 2440, so State Line Avenue. It's heading right towards the river as we speak, just on the south side of 435. As you head across the river, that's where that big tennis ball size hail is possible. So Bethel, it is right now about 620, pretty close to 622. So that is going to be right on top of you soon. It's this area that we're worried about heading towards Weatherby Lake. It looks like it's going to go right over the airport. So watch out in Smithville Lake. It looks like it may be coming right your way. If you can, and there's not lightning out, make sure you bring everything in right now because it's moving at 40 miles per hour. It's going to be there within the next 5 or 6 minutes or so. But look at that, Melissa. That's amazing that we're already seeing the training of the severe storms. And this storm from DeSoto to Eudora showing large hail, this one just went through there. So there's an almost unlimited supply of energy out there right now for these early storms.
There is, and we're going to take a live look outside one of our cameras as well. You can see that this is I-70 westbound at K7. It's just around 623 out there right now. You can see the storm that's moving in up the I-35 corridor as well, as most of these are at this point. Heavy rain is going to be occurring with these, the possibility of large hail, as well as we're watching for potential rotation with these storms. And we have been talking about this kind of all day. Once the cap breaks from the atmosphere, these are going to get going, and they're going to get going quick, which is basically what we've seen. As early as about 5:50, probably around closer to 6 is when we started to see these pop up, and now they have grown exponentially here in the last 30 minutes. So we're watching that potential for large hail, as Mike and I have been mentioning. There's golf ball sized hail warned. There is the possibility to be apple sized hail. So we're going to be able to bring this to you as we continue through the rest of this evening, as these are moving around 40 miles an hour. I kind of want to zoom out once again to give you a look at what is coming next, because for those that are to the northwest right now, Parkville's starting to see probably that heavy rain. We've been talking about this kind of lighter gray color that we've been watching. That's likely where the kind of hail is setting up. But once that moves out for our northern areas, we've still got more more rain and thunderstorm activity. That severe warning storm is coming quickly behind it as well. As I mentioned, these are starting to kind of conglomerate into one. But right now, when we look at where the hail is probably situated, it's mainly on the southern side of both of these storms. And right now, the larger, I would say, kind of area in which we're starting to see that grayish color, monitoring for that hail, is right now. Let me take the lighting off so we can get a clearer look. Back from Eudora to Hesper and then towards DeSoto too. So right where we're seeing this kind of grayish color, definitely going to be watching for that large hail potential, and then heavier rain towards the northern side, towards Frisbee, as well as the kind of eastern side of the DeSoto area. So as I mentioned, these are going here for the next couple of minutes. We're going to likely continue to see them, especially as we go into this evening. Large hail probably going to be the primary threat, especially as we are already seeing that unfold right now with these two severe storms that are out there. So I want to go back over. We're going to do another track. We're going to start off with our northern storm as we're starting to see that heavy rain building into places like Parkville at this point, just the northern side of the I-70 corridor. This is moving still around 40 miles an hour, pretty much to the northeast. So I am going to put the tracker on from where we likely think that hail is setting up and that heaviest rainfall and out. So once we start to get that track on there, know you're probably going to see the stronger winds rain first, but we want to talk about, where that hail is really going to start to be moving into your area here over the next, 30 to 40 minutes or so as this is moving pretty quickly. So
hey,
right
Melissa,
now,
I have that dialed up if you want to come over to me real quick.
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, here it is. When we pull up Max 2, you'll see exactly where this is the hail core right here. Pomeroy, Beverly Hills, Nearman, Parkville. It is on your doorstep, if not in your neighborhood right now. So it is too late to go outside and try to grab anything. Stay inside, stay safe. Here's Northwest East Side Drive. Here's a look at Union Chapel Road, and we're heading up towards 29 in Weatherby Lake. So this is the core of the largest hail. It's possibly 2-inch size hail, so that is bigger than golf ball. That is damaging hail, and this is where it's sitting right now. Wanted to go street level to show you that it is crossing over the river and heading into the Northland right now. Again, moving at about 40 miles per hour. So I wanted to just let you know I had it dialed in when you were talking about it. I'll send it back to you now.
Thanks, Mike. We're going to take another look at that storm down towards the south, but before then, we're looking at 29 and 635. You can see rain coming down there. Airport, as we're looking out, I assume just maybe to the northwest, or are we looking southwest right now at this point? So those are those warned storms that are moving through. And where's this as well? This is Nebraska Furniture Mart looking over Legends. So these storms continue to parade on up the I-35 corridor. Want to let you know, too, with this southern storm, as we've been talking about, at least the southern edge of it, we're starting to see some confirmation in terms of hail. That would be nickel-sized hail reports coming out of DeSoto. So there have been confirmed nickel-sized hail in DeSoto, and we're going to continue to see this lift up towards the northeast. So Frisbee is going to be next, and then eventually moving into Bonner Springs, Edwardsville too, and then continue to lift up towards the north. So I want to put a track on this as well, specifically from the hail, because as I mentioned, once this kind of storm to the north on the northern side of the metro moves out, Parkville towards places like Gladstone, even to Shawnee, that's not the end. We're going to continue to see those strong to severe storms continue to lift up towards the area, lift up towards the north, and still seeing the possibility of large hail, golf ball sized hail, but we are seeing reports right now of nickel sized hail out of DeSoto. So let's put a track on this as well, starting from the kind of northern edge where we're starting to see that hail core as we lift it up towards the northeast. So for those of us that are in Wilder, we are seeing that starting to move in by the time we get to about 6:34. So likely seeing, of course, rain for many of these areas already. But as we start to track that potential to see what is confirmed nickel-sized hail, but larger sizes of hail could be a possibility as well. So 6:38 towards Edwardsville, Lake Quivira closer to around 6:40 p.m., 6:45 towards Stony Point, and then we start to get towards Wellborn closer to the 7 o'clock hour around 6:51. Mike, over to you.
Hey, just wanted to let you know that storm you're looking at, Gretchen from Eudora said golf ball sized hail in Eudora. So that's the one that's going through DeSoto right now. It started as pebbles, came in fast, and left just as quickly. So that one's had a history of producing at least golf ball sized hail. So I wanted to let you know that that is some of the latest information that I'm finding on Facebook. KCTV5, find us on Facebook. If you put comments in there, put pictures in there, tell us how big the hail is you're seeing or how fast the winds are. That way we can take that information, pinpoint it to where the radar is showing that, and let everybody that's downstream of this, where the storm is going, we can give them an idea of, hey, this is what it's produced, this is what it could possibly produce when it gets to your neighborhood. So we love all those reports. Just tell us what size hail you're getting.
Mike, as well, also just seeing new reports out of Parkville. Okay, this is video from Parkville. Obviously seeing hail in this video out of Parkville, looking like it's hard to tell the size.
That's not
looking
bad.
Kind of like maybe closer to
like a nickel, maybe?
Yeah.
So those sizes have been changing apparently. Yeah. So the reports that I'm getting from someone I know in Parkville is that they were golf ball sized hail, some of it even falling as large as baseball. So this is significant sized hail that is hitting Parkville now.
Thanks, Sharon. So hail's still going to be moving through Parkville just on the kind of eastern edge of where we're seeing that hail core. So eventually headed towards Lake Wacomas. Okay, so this is 435 and State. There are some cars that are off the road right now. You can see that the roads are wet at this point. Doesn't possibly look like it's really actively raining. Hard to kind of see through this camera, but we're watching, of course, that potential as we go through this evening for very large hail. We've seen some reports of golf ball sized hail right now. So here's a look at this storm towards the Parkville area where we've just seen some reports kind of fluctuating, nickel to tennis ball, even larger. So that's starting to move into places. Eventually, if we get a little bit closer, heading towards Lake Wacomas, and then eventually moving towards Barry, Gashland. That's going to be kind of on the northern side. You can start to see, we just got a new radar scan. So Lake Wacomas likely going to start seeing some hail of some point at this time. We've had confirmation of nickel-sized hail as well as larger. So golf ball-sized hail was the largest we saw reported. And of course, we just saw that video just there of reported hail. So Lake Wacomas starting to see hail. Northern Heights will be next. Barry as well as towards Gashland. So I want to zoom out, put another track on this as we kind of see it moving up towards the northeast. And eventually, we'll start to move out of the warned area. We're already starting to see that happen right now. But let's put another track on this from the northern edge of where that hail core is. So we've got a better idea of when that hail could be approaching. You can see heavy rain falling right now, I-29 northbound past 72nd Street. This is near Lake Wacomas. So as I mentioned, starting to probably see that potential for that hail core to start to move in. Those raindrops look big overall at this point. You can see some of the cars that are off towards the side of the road right now. So I'm wondering, actually, it looks like maybe hail is falling.
Yeah, it looks like there's stopped
hail
for
on the ground, yeah.
And you don't want to drive into that hail if you can, because the speed of your car and the speed of the velocity of that hail falling just exponentially rises, and that's when you get some damage. I think a lot of people may be getting caught off guard by just how heavy the rain is coming down also, and the road cannot evacuate the rain fast enough. So my guess is possibly some of those cars you saw, they just hydroplaned because they maybe were going too fast, or these storms are so centrally located. You go from an area with a little bit of rain to all of a sudden an area of a bunch of rain, and it's just standing there right on the road. What I have here is I've been watching the radar. We're getting reports of 2-inch size hail out of Platte. Right under here is exactly where some of that heavier, let me get rid of this track. Well, let me show you the track. So Dearborn, Fawcett, Agency, Kirshner, St. Joe, Possibly all the way. This is where the strongest hail core that I see right now is moving through. And I want to give you a heads up because that's the first storm that's coming through also. You know, there's that other one right behind it that Melissa is taking a look at right now. But let me get rid of this track real quick. And I just want to go down to street level and show you where we are seeing or have seen some of the strongest hail out of this particular storm. You can see it's moving right through Parkville, heading right to Interstate 29, heading to Barry, up towards Smithville Lake. So that is the leading edge of the heavier hail as far as the radar can see. Now this is another product that we use for hail. This one's a little bit quicker and doesn't last as long. And you can see it already shows it touching up and moving across 29. So yeah, that's where the largest hail is out of this one. About to move out of Parkville. Weatherby Lake, you're about to be okay. Houston Lake, you're about to be okay. But Barry, Gashland, those areas north of Highway 152 and 29, if you live up there, that's where this hail is coming. Melissa?
We're looking at the storm a little bit further towards the south, or at least the southern end of the line right now. Bonner Springs now seeing reports of golf ball sized hail at the Legend. So golf ball sized hail possible. We're looking once again at the hail core kind of in that kind of lighter color of gray. So moving through the Bonner Springs area, eventually on the way towards Edwardsville, up towards Maywood. So as you can see, this is also the kind of spot in between where those two warnings are right now. But as I mentioned, this is kind of forming into a little bit of a linear line at this point. So Bonner Springs seeing large hail down towards Wilder as well. Golf ball size have been confirmed at the Legends outlet. So eventually that's going to move towards Edwardsville. That's going to be heading there next up towards Maywood and then eventually Stony Point. But as you can see, if I kind of take a wider look right now in between the two main hail cores that we're watching as this could kind of confines into one big large line. From Parkville over to Bonner Springs is where we're watching right now in kind of retrospect of where the largest hail is falling. We've seen golf ball sized hail, both reports from several locations as this is going to continue to parade up toward the northeast here over the next couple of hours. So, Mike, I'm going to put a track on this Bonner Spring ones if you want to take a look too then at Parkville. Okay. So then we kind of go back to back as well as this is still a linear system.
What I noticed, you saying that linear system, that's the second time we've mentioned Maywood. So areas that just got hit by that first thunderstorm and that hail are about to get hit again. So we got to keep an eye on those areas that if you had hail before and it's passed, say like in Parkville, that other storm is coming right at you. And that is also going to enhance the flood threat. There's no flooding out there right now, but if the rain falls heavy enough over these same areas, then we have a flash flooding event. And that's something we're going to keep an eye on for the future. All right, we have Zach out in the field. We're going to send it out to him. Hey, Zach, tell us where you are and what are you seeing?
I'm right here in the studio with you, Mike.
That's Zach. I'm sorry. We have two Zachs.
Yeah, I'm right here. I wanted to show you what was happening. You all have been talking about the Legends and the large size hail that is falling. You can see some of the white here in the median right here. This is all hail. And earlier we saw two vehicles here in the median, as Mike alluded to, likely hydroplaning and ending up in the median. You see somebody there going to try to help this person out of there. But you see the hail coming down here out by the Legends, and it almost looks like snow. I think, Sharon, you have some other video of hail?
I do, but you know what? The bells and whistles are going off in the studio right now. We just got another warning, so I'm going to let Melissa take it for a moment here.
Okay,
Melissa?
Thanks, Sharon. Okay, so you see now this kind of purplish pink outline. Now this storm, we're kind of categorizing into both of the spots that we were watching. So now one large warning, but it now is a destructive tag with 3-inch hail as a possibility. As I had mentioned, we have been seeing confirmation of golf ball sized hail overall with this entire kind of line that we're seeing happen right now at this point. So destructive tag is on there and very large hail is going to continue to be a possibility.
It's observed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Observed as well. So 3-inch
it's not radar
hail.
Indicated.
Yes. Observed. So we're going to put a track on this and kind of go zone by zone, kind of where we're seeing more of that larger hail. We have pictures of the hail. Can we take a look at the pictures?
So these are the pictures
of Parkville
that went through at about 6:20 7:25ish or so is when the storm had kind of gone through, and these pictures are coming in. This is baseball-sized hail, folks. This started as nickel-sized and just pretty much grew as that storm moved through. They had golf ball-sized hail, and now look at this baseball-sized hail. So this is very, very damaging hail. So if you don't go outside, if the storm is moving through your area. So we're going to send it back to Melissa for now.
Thanks, Sharon. As we mentioned, observed 3-inch plus hail, a possibility here, especially as we look towards these areas that are generally a little bit lighter gray. That's where those hail cores are. We're going to kind of zoom in right now at this point. I know it's a little bit hard to see because we're overlaying now a few severe warnings at this point. So Barry, Lake Wacomas, seeing that kind of hail core, that potential, as we mentioned, for larger hail, but 3-inch hail is a possibility and has been confirmed. Even as we zoom out, and I kind of want to go backwards, and by backwards I mean a little bit further towards the south, because this is a large area that's confined within that warning. As you can see, it stretches all the way back towards Bonner Springs. So I wanted you to pay attention to this box that's highlighted in that pink, ratherly not so much that kind of yellow that is behind it at this point. But as you can see, that hill core kind of pointing out to us right now towards Bonner Springs, lifting up towards the north. Eventually, as we zoom in, kind of along that I-70 corridor towards Maywood, Stony Point, and then even up towards the north, starting to see even some pockets of that hail potential towards Wellborn. Mike?
Right off that hail core, I'm starting to see a little bit of rotation on Max 2. I've got it. You're seeing a little bit, not gate to gate as much as we would like, but this is just a sign. It's a rotation. I wanted to let you know that we're seeing a little bit of rotation, and it may be just the rotation we need to get 3-inch size hail. Doesn't mean it's going to put a tornado down, but it definitely looks like we're seeing, the red and the green right next to each other. So we've got a little bit of an updraft there, a little bit of a spinning updraft that is possibly right here, but it can also take that hail and throw it out ahead of the core that you're seeing. So the core we're seeing on the radar, maybe just a little bit ahead of that. Think that this particular updraft may take that, because updrafts don't stand straight up. They tilt a little bit to the forward edge of the storm because the winds are faster up in the top part of the storm than they are at the bottom of the storm. So yeah, they're tilting a little bit, which means the hail could be falling in Parkville right now. But I'm going to keep an eye on this, Melissa.
Yeah.
It's a broad circulation, which is what I think you need for a hail core, but not necessarily for a tornado. If this does shrink down, I'll get back to you and we'll take another look at it.
Thanks, Mike. I've got the hail tracker pulled up now. I'm not going to kind of directly dive into sizes at this point because we already had some confirmation of 3 inches of hail. Golf ball size hail has been confirmed as small as nickel size as well, with this kind of linear storm that we're starting to see form. But right now, because this is paused at 6:41, because it's 6:41 right now, as you can see, kind of that smaller hail probably starting to eventually, as I had mentioned, towards Berryville, kind of the Northern Heights area, just on the outside cusp of this. But right now, it looks like the larger hail starting to be situated towards the western side of Parkville, down towards Wellborn, over towards Bethel, as we continue to kind of go towards the south here. As you can see, even if I zoom out, there's kind of more of that pinkish purple that we're starting to see. That would indicate that heavier, or I should not say heavier, larger hail potential. Even as I go back further south towards Bonner Springs and in between DeSoto, where we were tracking as well, right now still sticking out to me is what's closer to the Parkville area in between Maywood at this point for the size of the hail that could be falling. And so this is moving up towards the northeast. It's moving fast. I wanted to also put a track on where it's going next, as these are moving very quickly. And I also want to point out too, look at these shots that are out at some of our cameras and some of our scout cameras. You can see these storms, heavy rain. We mentioned that potential that we're watching for that rotation as well. Mike?
Yeah, we've got some video out of Parkville we want to show you, and this was of the earlier storm, and it is of that hail. Look at that Honda Accord. Look at the back window, or what's left of that Honda Accord. It's gone. Even though it was kind of under a shelter, that's what we mean by the hail's going to come down a little bit sideways. So make sure if you shelter under something, you give yourself some extra room when this hail comes around sideways. So this is what we're talking about, why you need to stay away from the windows at your house, especially when we have a destructive or a considerable tag on these severe thunderstorm warnings, because that is the hail that's coming through, and it's the winds that are going to blow it sideways. And that hail, at least on the radar, could have been up around 1.5 inches, but we know that it maybe was likely bigger because we've had confirmation of bigger hail out of that, Melissa.
Thank you. I want to zoomed in too. We've got just a new report of dime leaning to around nickel size north of Riverside. So as we mentioned, kind of just over the river, kind of on the southern side.
We'll take more of that. You know, that's nice and small. We'll take more of that.
Yes, that's further on the southern side. So know that up towards Parkville, towards kind of Nearman, just north of that, that's where we're watching for the heaviest, kind of largest hail. If we take a kind of reset, if you're just joining us now, here's what we're looking at. You see that purple, pinkish outline, a destructive tag. We're watching the possibility of 3 inches of hail, a size of 3-inch hail. And we have seen confirmation of that. We have seen confirmation already of nickel to dime to quarter to tennis ball to golf ball sized hail at this point with this particular storm, leaving a lot of lightning as well. But this is the wide look right now. It stretches all the way back towards Bonner Springs, all the way up towards Liberty in that worn box, but even starting to see some more activity build north towards Lawson and Excelsior Springs. That's not included in the warning right now at this point, but we're going to continue to watch those areas too. I wanted to kind of give that wider look so you know what's going on as we continue to kind of zoom in, and it looks like they just added a severe thunderstorm warning as well for that northern storm. So that would be for Claudwell, Clinton, and Ray. That goes until 7:30, so about 45 more minutes on it. That's also a considerable tag. I would think that that's probably closer to around at least golf ball sized hail at this point, as we have seen such confirmation. Okay. For golf ball sized hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds located over Holt right now, heading towards Lathrop. It's also a storm we're going to be watching for possible rotation too. So we're going to keep an eye on that storm. Mike and I are going to be here through the rest of this evening until this threat is done. And let's kind of start over, take a look at that one large warning that's moving over the metro right now at this point, that's highlighted in that pink color, purplish pink right now, as it's going to continue to move up towards the northeast over the next couple of hours. If we zoom in and just talk about really where the heaviest rain right now is at this point, you can see a lot of lightning is forming kind of in the center part of that storm right now. So Gladstone over to Parkville, down even back towards Bonner Springs, seeing a lot of lightning. And even if we turn the lightning off, which I'm going to do because sometimes the lightning could be a little bit in the way, you could see that heavier rain between Gladstone and Parkville down towards Bonner Springs. We're watching certain areas over others for that potential for that very large hail. 3-inch hail is a possibility. So if we kind of close this out, take a wider look, especially as we head up towards the northeast, because this is going to be heading there next, as I had mentioned, moving pretty quickly around 40 miles an hour. But if you're living up towards Liberty, if you're living up towards Gladstone, you still have the southern end of the storm that's going to be lifting up here to the northeast. So even if you maybe start to see that kind of break, if you are seeing hail at this point, there is more of a possibility for this to move up from the south, which is likely going to happen, but to see more hail start to build in. So we would recommend staying inside if you are anywhere, of course, anywhere in this warning. Even if I mentioned you start to see maybe kind of lessening of that hail threat, make sure you're staying inside because we still got, you know, the southern end of the storm that's going to be moving up towards the northeast. Mike.
Yeah, we got some video out of Lake Wacomas. Look at this. That looks like golf ball size hail to me, and it sounds like golf ball size hail. And yeah, let me just let you listen to it for a second. Wow, that's what we're looking at out of the storm. And notice it bouncing around, coming in sideways. Look at how rough it's making that lake. That's why we want to be inside and covered up as best as possible. Now, if you're wondering where Lake Wacomas is, it's just down 29 from the airport. Here's the airport. Here's KCI. Mike. Here's 435. Here's 29. That's where that was from.
A report of 3.5-inch hail from Lake Wacomas.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that it was even bigger than the picture we just saw. 3.5 is softball size hail, right? Mm-hmm. Yikes. That is the power of these storms. So while we're telling you pretty much that was what we thought would be the top end of the hail production out of these storms. So one of these storms, the one that's been out ahead by itself that Melissa is looking at right now on Max 1, that's the one that has all the energy to itself, and that's why it maximized all that energy and created that softball-sized hail. So we need to keep an eye on that storm as you have a severe thunderstorm warning on it right now.
Yeah, that's up towards the northern part. Also, the National Weather Service mentioned likely going to see another warning here come out shortly. So when that does happen, we'll be sure to bring that to you. But the storm that's up towards the north right now, I turned the lightning off. We're going to turn it back on to see how much lightning this is producing at this point. A lot of lightning. As you can see, it's kind of a little bit more isolated by itself compared to the others that we've been looking at. But you can start to see it is starting to kind of form back into the storm that's just towards the south as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is going to get kind of absorbed into what we've been tracking here for the last about hour or so at this point. So let's kind of take a look at where the heaviest rain is right now. We zoom in. That's on the back end towards Lathrop and Holt over towards Elmira, and then eventually lighter rain towards Kingston, Polo. I'm going to put a track on this as this is going to continue to move pretty quickly to the northeast. As I had mentioned, likely going to extend that severe thunderstorm warning. Just saw that, so that's why that's flashing yellow. We'll take a look at that here in a second. I'm going to put the track on what's up towards the northern portions of our areas. It's moving around 40-ish miles an hour once again. And I'm doing it from where the heaviest rain is at this point. But no, even up towards Polo already at this time, you're seeing light rain, even towards Kingston. But the heaviest rain starting to move into Barnesville by around it is 6:50. So it's already there. By the time we get to Polo around 7:06 for that heaviest rain, Coggill around 7:15. So even as we kind of go outside the warning, even towards Breckenridge around 7:33 and then 7:38 towards Mooresville. So we're going to watch this storm. We're watching the one towards the south as well that has just been issued. So I'm going to take a look at, I assume it's probably going to be around the same criteria as we've been looking at. What'd you say, Mike?
Did that new warning come out?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was talking to Corey.
No, that's okay. I thought you had said something to me. So this new warning right now, I'm going to put a kind of overview of it. As you can see, once again, considerable tag, which is what we've been seeing with this large hail that has been produced kind of time and time again. We've been watching. There's that destructive tag for portions of the metro down towards south, towards Bonner Springs. We'll go back and look at that here and again. But this is where that storm that does have the destructive tag, the destructive parts of it, we're so forewarned, are going to be lifting up this way. So that goes till 7:30. It's Claude, Clay, Clinton, Ray counties. Considerable tag. We're still watching that potential to see some rotation. So there was why we've seen that kind of tornado possible tag on many of these at this point. So this one's going to go until 7:30. As I'd mentioned, I'm assuming that's going to be for at least golf ball sized hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds too. And I'm just going to kind of quantify and make sure that that is the case with this specific storm that we're watching. And it looks like, yes, that is. So golf ball sized hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds. It looks like it's picking up speed a little bit, now around 50 miles an hour. So the ones we have been tracking around 40. So maybe it looks like it's picking up a little bit of speed, but that's going to be lifting up pretty quickly. Because 50 miles is pretty fast. You know, when you think about you're on a highway, you're going 60, 70 miles an hour. These storms are going just about as fast as that, maybe a little bit less at this point. So once again, I want to mention too, something that we've been talking about, this large hail, make sure you're getting away from windows, because with hail that's 3 inches large, we showed you a video of a car that had the back mirror, not the back mirror, the back windshield that was blown out. So make sure you are staying away from windows with this kind of line of storms that we're seeing. Mike?
All right, we're going to show you some video of somebody with a bucket on their head to brave the hail. I wouldn't suggest that, but since they've already done that, let's go ahead and take a look. They're trying to cover their car. You want to do that before the hail starts. If you can, put blankets on it, maybe put furniture pads on it, put a car cover over it so it holds those down. That's what we did with my son's car Friday. That's what he did for this one too, and it seems to work really well. But by the time this person went out, it's kind of late, because you had to put a bucket on your head. We do not recommend that you do that, please. But I hope he's safe, and thank you for sending in the video. But it gives you an idea. See how big that hail is that's dropping down there? That the hail that is falling is going to damage things, and that's why we are tracking these storms, so you know when they're getting to you, and you can get out ahead of these storms and get them, get to your safe space or get something covered or brought in as quick as possible. I'm just watching a few areas of rotation, but again, the rotation is very broad. It's more of a hail core rotation. That's why we're seeing such large hail. Again, they're not close enough yet to be producing a tornado, but there is the possibility that they could spin up and then produce a tornado. That's why on those considerable tags it says tornado possible, because when you have an updraft that's strong enough to lift a hailstone that's the size of a baseball or a softball, you have air that's going this way at like 70 to 80 miles per hour straight up. And that's what's going to help bring that rotation in, like an ice skater we talk about brings our arms in, it spins it up, and that rotation gets tighter, and then we have a tornado. Not seeing that yet. We're still seeing broad ranges, but where you see these broad ranges of green and red next to each other, that's where there's going to be more hail cores. There's a lot of hail out there right now. And if you have anybody at the Big 12 men's basketball tournament, you might want to tell them, hey, tune in. We know the storms are north of you, but there's a lot of people out there right now. And if these take a little bit of a jog to the south, they may hit Kansas City. But right now they're staying north in the northland of Kansas City, which is, you know, unfortunate for those folks. But this is the area that we're looking at right now.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah.
I want to take a kind of wide look, see what's going on at this point, because it's still stretching all the way back from Bonner Springs all the way up to Polo right now. You can see 3 separate severe thunderstorm warnings in effect, all considerable. Do notice, though, that the pink polygon has been taken away. So the new update for the warning that goes over the northern portions of the Kansas City metro has been updated. And as we take a closer look, that's for portions of our Clay, Jackson, Platte, Wyandotte counties on the northern side. Still a considerable tag. 2 inches of hail size are possible. So we're looking at that kind of golf ball sized hail, still possibility. It has been observed. We have seen reports through the entirety of this event so far of anywhere from nickel all the way up to softball sized hail. So considerable threat right now. It's mainly for that 2-inch hail possibility, which is around golf ball to tennis ball sized hail. So keep that in mind. So that continues until 7:15. Considerable tag. That is up as we go towards the northern portions of this kind of cell that is now kind of strung out and been a little bit more linear than it first had started, because they all kind of combined together. So I'm going to go kind of warning by warning. We're going to get closer into the warning that is currently for portions of the northern side of the metro first, and kind of diagnose what we're seeing here. So I also wanted to let you know, if we zoom out, DeSoto back towards Eudora, things are quieting down. Not seeing any more storm development back on the back side of that at this point, but Bonner Springs almost out of that one warning. So now we're looking at what's going up towards the east of Bonner Springs, all the way up towards Lawson as well. But as you can see, up towards Lawson in the northern portion, starting to see this kind of grayish color again, where we're watching that potential for hail. This entire linear system, we're watching mainly for hail. That is the main hazard. We have seen many reports now of hail. So hail is the primary threat right now. Still watching those possibilities for rotation as well as wind. All of these warnings right now have 60-mile-per-hour winds as a hazard at this point, but so far we have only seen confirmed reports of large hail. So keep in mind, there is a tornado watch that we are under right now, but large hail is the primary threat in that watch. So let's kind of zoom in and take a look at some places where we're probably going to see maybe some hail develop. That is back towards, we're going to kind of start with this one severe warning first that I just updated you on. That does include Parkville, places like the northern edge of the Kansas City metro, Avondale, Gladstone, Liberty, Birmingham. I'm including you in this. So as we kind of take a look at that hail tracker, we know that it has the possibility to see 2 inches of hail. We've seen that confirmed, as I mentioned, golf ball to tennis ball size. So I'm going to put the hail tracker on this. This is the past 2 hours. So I'm going to take it off this past 2 hour one, put it on the current one, so we can have a closer look at what is kind of unfolding right now at this point, especially as this is going to continue to be probably the main threat here overall. So here's a look right now. We have seen kind of that larger hail develop just west of the Parkville area down towards Bonner Springs. As I mentioned, Bonner Springs out of it right now, but still kind of looking at that potential hail to be the larger between kind of the 435 loop and then over towards Parkville. So Mike, I'm going to send it over to you for a hail montage.
Yeah, we've receiving a bunch of pictures of the hail, and why not? That looks almost baseball size. Look at the irregular shape of it. What's happening? The small hailstones are freezing together and creating that jaggedness that you see. But that jaggedness of that one and that one that's baseball size, as we talked about, those are updrafts that are running 70, 80.
Got it.
Once you get to softball size hail, those updrafts in the storm, the air that's moving vertically is moving 70 to 90 miles per hour up towards the sky. That is just some amazing looking hail, and thank you all for sending that in to us. This is what we can expect out of these storms until we get to what we were looking at, like 8 or 9 o'clock for the transition to a little bit more of a linear system. But right now, these two supercells, or these storms, are the big ones out there producing the hail. Let's listen ahead. Okay, this is what's happening in Gladstone. You can see the rain kind of coming down sideways. The hail gets caught in that wind, comes down sideways. That could break out your window. So we want you to make sure you can stay away from those when the bigger hail is coming down and coming sideways. And of course, you can see the bigger hail bouncing. Gives you an idea of how fast it's coming down, because if it bounces 2 or 3 feet off the ground, that means it's dropping very quickly, not maybe quite as fast as it was going up in the sky, but it's coming down at 50, 60 miles per hour. So you want to stay out of that hail. You don't want to get hit by that hail if it's coming down that quickly. It's like getting hit by, Little League Baseball can throw about 60 or 70 miles per hour. Maybe not, maybe more towards middle school, but you get an idea that how much that would hurt, especially if it hits you in the head. So I've kind of dialed in where we're seeing the biggest hail through the radar right now. This is right north of Elmira. We've got Lawson, Excelsior Springs, Kearney. So we're in the Missouri side up and heading towards north central Missouri. So this is where we're seeing the biggest hail right now. I'll send it back to Melissa.
Thanks, Mike. I'm taking a kind of wider look once again at this. What is now turning into more of a linear line started off mainly as supercells, but stretching all the way back from Bonner Springs all the way up towards the northern side, just south of Gomer. But really, as we take a look at where the strongest part of the storm is right now, it's mainly moving through the Lawson area. So I'm going to zoom into there, then I'm going to track the leading edge of this, because, as I'd mentioned, this is kind of training over the same area. So we know that places in Excelsior Springs are going to continue to see rain and thunderstorm activity, that possibility of hail. But what's coming next for those to our north that haven't seen anything yet? So right now, as I mentioned, starting to see towards Lawson, the northern side of Elmira, just south of Cameron is where we're seeing, 1, a lot of lightning, but 2, starting to point out that hail core once again. So that's kind of conglomerating, as I mentioned, into both of those warnings right now at this point. But I wanted to put a track on this because for those that are north of this, as I've been mentioning, if you've been north of this, you've got a kind of longer wave of storms that are headed towards your way. And some of these areas have not seen rain and thunderstorm yet, but they have that potential for 2-inch hail, tennis ball to golf ball sized hail, damaging winds, 60 miles per hour. We've been watching that rotation. So I'm going to put a fresh track on here because I think it's been about a minute or so since I've done it. So I want to be able to give you the latest information. As I mentioned, north of Polo, kind of where we're starting to see that hail core once again develop. So I'm going to pull out the track once again, kind of give the areas that haven't seen anything yet, but know that they're going to see that possibility of large hail to unfold is on the way. So in places like Bonanza, 714, already probably raining there, but where we're looking at that potential to see that kind of hail core, that kind of higher potential for hail in the storm headed your way up towards Breckenridge around 732. Right now it's around 703, so in about 30 minutes or so. And then lifting up towards Chillicothe by around 750. So as you can see, Breckenridge, Chillicothe, back over towards Meadville. Haven't seen anything yet, but they're going to start to see this line and continue to see it here over probably the next at least hour or so as it's kind of trained all the way back west towards Bonner Springs. So specific areas like Breckenridge, Chillicothe, Meadville, even in places like Bonanza, if you go very, very quickly, this is the time now to move your car into a garage. As we're watching that potential for large hail, we've already seen it confirmed. Make sure that now is your time to do any preparations for those in Chillicothe, Breckenridge, over towards Meadville to prepare yourself for the possibility of some very large hail. Mike?
Yeah, just wanted to do a quick reset. You've been doing such a great job. I wanted to give you a break, too, so you can catch your breath, get a drink of water. Let me take a look at the overall picture really quick because we've been so hyper-focused on these storms, as we should be, as they're putting out 3-inch hail. But this is just the beginning of an event that could go until midnight. And this has been riding from Ottawa, well, just south of Eudora, through the Northland, heading up towards Chillicothe. We still have this whole other area south of 35 that hasn't been touched yet. We've got a slow-moving cold front that is sinking down to the south, and as it sinks down to the south, it's going to lift more of this moisture and create more storms. Once these two pass, the all clear is not all clear. We still have that front to deal with, and all of this down to the south of 35 hasn't been touched yet. It's capped right now, but that cold front will come in and cap it. So while we're watching these storms, think about what you're going to do when the storm comes your way, because there will be more storms. I want to send it over to Zach now.
All right, Mike, we're following a couple of traffic incidents. I want to just bring attention to this incident here on 635. This is southbound past Metropolitan Boulevard there. This is not necessarily weather related. We actually brought it to you at 4 o'clock. It was supposed to clear before 5, but this is ongoing work southbound at 635 past Metropolitan. But we are seeing what looks to be some weather related incidents. This is just north of that incident I just showed you. This is at 635 southbound past K5. This is in the northbound lanes. You have a truck here off to the side. May have hydroplane there. There appears to be a standing water there, so may have hydroplane there to that spot. You know, if you do find yourself hydroplaning, you want to stay calm, ease up off the gas, and avoid really hitting that brake too hard. We saw another incident. This is 435 at southbound at State Avenue, so out by Legends. Earlier, we saw this is one of 2 vehicles that ended up in the median. The other vehicle, the driver in that vehicle, was able to work its way out of the median. But you see this vehicle here stuck there with road crews there assisting. So, you know, just be careful on those roads. Again, if you hit water, you start to hydroplane, stay calm, ease up off the gas, avoid slamming on that brake too hard. Melissa, over to you.
Thanks, Zach. Here's a wide look once again. What's going on out there? We've got several severe thunderstorm warnings. Almost all of them are a considerable threat and have that potential for hail upwards of 2 inches, which is, you know, kind of in between a golf ball and a tennis ball at this point. But we have seen several, more than several confirmations of that large hail out there, ranging from nickel all the way to softball, what we have seen from this particular storm. So keep that in mind. Here's that wider look right now, moving out of places like Bonner Springs, Shawnee, now on the southern end of it towards Parkville, the northern side of Kansas City. It's continuing to lift up here towards the northeast. Right now, the strongest part of the storm is in the northern portion of Excelsior Springs. A lot of lightning, as we can see there. Probably a hail core is what I'm trying to see back behind that as well. But I wanted to go back, talk a little bit about the warning that is currently in the Kansas City northern side of the metro. That continues until 7:15. So about 8 more minutes left on it. Clay, Platte, Wyandotte County, considerable tag still on it. 7:15. This is on the southern edge of it. Looking a little bit more disorganized than it once was, which is good news. However, still that considerable tag and still could bring large hail with it. golf ball to tennis ball sized hail. So right now, that's where the warning is. That's moving through the northern portions of the metro around 45 miles an hour. As we go more towards the north, this is the kind of portion of the storm that I'm watching here. That includes portions of Claude, Clay, Clinton, Ray counties. A lot of lightning, as you can see, moving over the Lawson area. This continues for about another 22 minutes. Around 7:30 is when that severe thunderstorm warning comes to an end. Still, same warning when I'm talking about specific threats. So 2-inch sized hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds, heavy rainfall. I'm going to take this off. I'm going to take the lightning off, and I'm going to look at the potential for that hail core and then eventually track that out. But before I do that, I'm going to send it over to Mike.
All right, we just had reports of a window being broken in a house due to hail. So again, stay away from the windows when this hail is coming down. We've got something to show you out of Parkville. Let's take a listen. Oh, that is just the most helpless sound when you hear it thud like that. And you can see it bouncing off the pool cover. That is getting up there around baseball-sized hail. That's the kind where you got to call the insurance, your insurance agent, because you're going to have some damage somewhere, whether it's the car outside, whether it's the awning, maybe you've got a pergola, your roof. This is an area also that I'm watching. It hasn't happened yet, but we do have that flood threat, and we talked about storms like this that would be the flood threat, storms that train over the same area. So if you look back around Parkville and then go across the river towards the northern part of Wyandotte County, you've seen nearly 2 inches of rain fallen so far. We haven't heard of any reports of any flooding yet, but that is close or right within what the Weather Service thought would be what we needed for flash flood potential, and that was at least 1.5 inches to 2.5 inches in 1 hour. So I'm sure there's standing water here. Keep an eye on the creeks and streams around your area if you live in northern Wyandotte, southern Platte County, and also heading over towards Clay County into Gladstone. We could have a flooding issue developing, just something I wanted to keep an eye on and let you know that that threat is still part of what we're dealing with. Melissa?
I wanted to move a little bit further up towards the north, as I had mentioned, where we've been kind of honing in on where the probably stronger portion of that storm currently is on the northern side of the city and into portions of the northern suburbs. But here's a look at our hail tracker. What we're seeing right here. Underneath that, that is the severe thunderstorm warning boxes. So we're not really looking at the yellow, but I wanted to at least put that on there. So Elmira, Lawson, back towards I-35 just east of Holt. This kind of grayish color indicating us the possibility of around quarter-sized hail, 1-inch hail, which is around quarter-sized. Same thing up towards Kingston, seeing around that kind of maybe half to about 1-inch sized hail, which would then put us at nickel.
Tornado warning.
And looks like we just have a tornado warning, yes.
Tornado warning for Northwest Ray for just south of Elmira. This will include southern Caldwell County. So that is a new tornado warning just issued. You're on it, Melissa. Take it away.
Well, this is just kind of the area I was looking at, too, on the back side of this storm that has a little bit of that hail core that would be around about a quarter-sized hail. But I want to get ahead and look at the rotation on this. I know it starts to get a little bit messy when I've got radar overlaid. But as I mentioned, this is where that is. That kind of red box that we're seeing, that tornado warning. I assume it goes for another 45 minutes, Mike?
Let me double check.
So around probably 7:50-ish, maybe closer to 8.
Tornado warning, let's see, until 7:45. Good call.
Yep.
Radar indicated rotation. Take cover now if you can. So thankfully it's not observed, but it is one of those areas that we talked about, these broad circulations where it's narrowed enough that it could possibly bring the tornado down or those winds down to the ground and form a tornado. So that's the area we got to keep an eye on. Tornado warning for northwestern Ray County and also southeastern Caldwell County until 7:45. Radar indicated. This storm is moving to the
northeast
at 35. So it's at least it's moving a little slower than the tornado the tornado we did have Friday. It was moving 45 miles per hour. So find your safe space right now if you live in either of those counties. Melissa's working on trying to dial it down to street level to show you exactly where that rotation is, and then she will track it and show you where it's going. So we have a tornado warning, radar indicated for the Northland, and it's heading off to the northeast at about 35 miles per hour. You got to, and it's
like
right
I'm
near
starting
Elmira.
to lose. Mike, do you have data over there? Because my data just dropped out.
Let me double check. Let's see if I got something.
Oh, looks like I got it back.
Okay.
Oh, it looks like the latest scan's probably gone. Is that happening to you over there?
Let me check. Just.
But either way, if you are living in Elmira, eventually in the Polo area, you need to be getting into your tornado safe place now as we try to figure out what's going on with the latest run, the latest data scan that we've got from our radar. And it looks like it's starting to come back. There we go. Looks like we lost it for one specific scan. So in the Elmira area, it's getting a little bit challenging to see too.
All right, new scan just came in, so that you should get that update right now.
I'm losing it again. Did you lose it again?
Trying.
I assume that the radar indicated rotation right now is probably just to the south of Elmira. So if you are in the Elmira area, you need to be getting in your tornado safe place. If you live in Polo, you need to be getting to your tornado safe place as well. Looks like the scans are coming in and out with each different scan that it's losing a little bit, which is not great. So I'm going to move this to regular radar so I can maybe start to see a radar signature where we're seeing it, so I can get a little bit of a better look at what's going on here. But if you live in Elmira, you need to be getting in your tornado safe place now. If you live in Polo, if you live in Tatesville as well, over towards Cowgill, you need to be getting in your tornado safe place right now at this point, as this has been moving pretty quickly around 40-45 miles per hour. So I'm going to put this back on radar to see if I get kind of a clearer picture.
It's very muddled. If you look around Lawson, Excelsior Estates, north of Excelsior Springs, right on, was that Highway 69, you're seeing a muddy situation where you're seeing a couple of areas. I mean, you've got a little bit of gate to gate here, a little bit of gate to gate there. So somewhere around Highway 69 is my best guess is where we're seeing that rotation right now, heading towards Elmira. Is that what you're seeing, or is this?
Well, mine's been dropping out. Looks like yours has not been, but I have been, as I mentioned, if it is just north of Lawson, now it's on the southern side of Elmira. So if you are in the Elmira area, you need to be getting in your tornado safe place. If you also live in Polo, you need to be getting in your tornado safe place as well. And as I mentioned, looks like my scans are kind of being lost and then picking back up again. But as Mike had mentioned, Mike has a little bit better in terms of Doppler winds than what mine is showing right now. So if we can go to Mike.
Yeah, I think it's the rotation's right on Lawson right now.
That's what it looks like to me.
So this is moving. So let me put a track on that. All right, Elmira, now head down to the lowest floor, most interior room. We like to put areas of interest that you will know, like Buffalo School, 729. We've got 733 in Polo, 740 in Kingston, 743 in Bonanza, and another landmark, Center Prairie School at 744. This is a radar indicated tornado. Let me take the track off and give you an idea of where we're looking at possibly the best circulation right now. All right, let's get this off here. Okay. There we go. Is right there on the other side. Right there. I think it's got to be this right here.
Looks like we have a new tornado warning as well. South.
Oh, a new
south
tornado
of that,
warning.
and looks like rotation's probably in between Liberty and Riverbend right now at this point as well.
Okay, let me jump on down there. Yep, look at that.
So I'm losing it?
Oh, wait. So what we're looking at is where 435 and 35 come together, maybe just north of that towards Liberty, this spot right here where that little kink is, where 291, because this is going towards the radar, away from the radar. So it's got to be one of this one here, maybe. It's got to be one of these two from Clay Como to Glen Eyre to Liberty, right there on 35, where 435 comes together. My guess would be probably this area right here, right north of Clay Como, where we're seeing the best rotation. We'll go down just a little bit to street level here. Pleasant Valley Road. What else do we have here? Flintlock Road, Northeast 76th Street. You can tell that's 35 right there. So this is an area that we're looking at that probably is where the rotation is right now. So this is heading off to the northeast. Let me see how fast it's moving. This one is moving, let's see, this tornado warning is moving to the northeast at about 35 miles per hour also. So let me put a track on this one. Probably right or north of Clay Como is the best I can see right now. So there's a new scan. So let's start it right there and go that way. And so Liberty Academy at about 7:20, Liberty about 7:21. Right now it is 7:18, so you've got a couple of minutes. Remember when a tornado warning is issued. Lowest floor, most interior room, no windows, as many walls between you and those winds as possible, because the winds are going to pick up debris. The debris is what's going to be the destructive part of the tornado. Also, when it lifts roofs off or shingles, just by the sheer air pressure that rolls across them, those become missiles also. So that's where you've got to watch out for those coming your way, and that's what's going to do the harm. So when you do this, remember, calmly and coolly, and Sharon knows all about that from last Friday. She, if I may I tell that story? Her daughter was a little bit scared because of the tornado warning, but Sharon kept her cool. She had us on her phone, took her phone with her and her daughter into the bathroom. And do you want to tell the story?
Sure, no problem. My daughter, who's 12, has never been in a tornado situation. She's from Southern California, and so when the tornado came through our area and all the bells and whistles went off, you know, on the phone and, you know, the sirens outside, she got very, very scared, very nervous. And I said, okay, calm down. That's okay. We'll turn on KCTV5 and let's see what is going on. And we turned on Melissa and Mike, and it really calmed her down because she could track with you guys what was going on with the storm system, the tornado, and we tracked it all the way through to the point where the tornado was passing over us, and she was even following Melissa's timing as far as, oh my gosh, okay, Melissa said 3 more minutes, so we are good, it's passed. So yeah, that's my story, Mike.
All right, let's thank you very much for sharing that. You did exactly the right thing, and we sure appreciate that, and that is a model for everybody else to follow when these warnings come out. We're trying to go right down. Do you have that camera, that tower cam right now? And tell me again where it is so we can take a look at it. So this is, okay, we're looking at it. We're trying to find if there's a tornado in there. We're looking right around the 435 corridor, or just north of that as you're heading to Liberty. So that's the area we're looking at right now. All right, let's send it over to Melissa. Let me keep it, and there's a new scan. And so we're taking a look at, I'm guessing, let me get this. Come on, move with me, please. Do you think it's that far north, Melissa, that it's up near Stockdale? That would be a quick jump, but it is moving at 45 miles per hour. It's just a muddled picture.
It is a little bit of a muddled picture. I think, you know.
Right here? Maybe?
I think maybe, I have not looked at radar, but maybe if we look at radar as well, we could figure out more of a signature.
Let's do
into where that is, a more particular area we're watching is.
All right, I will do that. Thank you. Let's take a look at, see if there's even a hook on this thing somewhere. So.
And I would get closer onto the now radar.
Yeah.
Versus sweeping radar.
Yep. Thank you. It should be sweeping radar right there. I don't know why NowRad popped up. Let me get the watches and warnings off there. So, looking at maybe the sweeping radar's down. Oh boy. Let me go to another source here and see if I can find it. Let's go down, take a look at this one. And so we're looking, looks like just south of Liberty, maybe, or over towards Missouri City. Do you see that?
Okay.
Where are we?
Okay, looks like we are looking out at the weather tracker. This is obviously heavy rainfall, gray skies happening out there. Where specifically is our weather tracker right now? 291. So we know that there is heavy rainfall falling in this kind of line and train of storms that we're seeing developing. As I mentioned, doesn't look like there's any hail falling, which is the good news. That is good news because we have seen it falling here over the last kind of hour and a half. We've seen anything between nickel size, dime size, all the way up to softball sized hail. Many reports of golf ball size as well as tennis ball sized hail. So we've seen hail. We have seen strong winds. We're monitoring the potential for those tornadoes with those 2 tornado warnings that are in effect right now for places that are just north of the metro. So as we kind of look at where we are going to continue to watch these areas, it's mainly right now those 2 tornado warnings that we've got going on. And the one is just in portions of the eastern side of the metro. And it looks like portions of Missouri City, Excelsior Springs up towards Mosby. Looks like there's been a new kind of update to that warning. So I'm going to take a look at that. I assume we are going to continue to see that radar indicated rotation with this specific storm. But as you can see, heavy rainfall is still falling on that kind of I-29 corridor. A lot of lightning we've been seeing as well. Specifically, heavy rainfall, hail, primary threats. We're seeing that tornado threat as well. Mike, I want to send it back over to you.
Well, we've got some good news. The tornado warning for north central Jackson County is canceled, but we still have the tornado warning. It remains in effect until 7:45, which is another 21 minutes, and this continues for Central Clay and West Central Ray counties. This is once again a radar indicated tornado. We have no ground truth of this as of yet, but we treat it exactly the same. We go into the lowest floor, the most interior room, and we find our safe area, whether it's a bathroom where you cover yourself with blankets or a closet where you can cover yourself with the clothes that are in the closet. We go to that area and we get down as quickly and as calmly as we can because of that tornado that is rolling through there. We've got an interesting signal just north of Bramer, but that's on the north side of the storm. So let's take a look at what we're doing with the radar right here. Let's go right in. And you can see the storms, multiple storms rolling over the same area. This is just east of 35. You can see right up here, Excelsior Springs. This is where the rotation is coming at you. It should be right around Liberty, coming towards Missouri City, if it's not a little bit farther north of that already. We're going to keep an eye on this storm as it continues to roll through. It's had a history of producing 3.5-inch hail. So Polo, Hamilton, Bramer, Chillicothe, Lock Springs, get ready for that. This tornado warning for Clay and Ray, you can see there's a ton of lightning out there also, which means when you see a lot of lightning, there's a healthy updraft in that storm because it's separating the charges, and then when the charges get back together, they create that lightning. So that's what we're seeing out of that. Let me stop this and let's go down and let me get the lightning off here. And I want to kind of show you street level what we're looking at right here. Some of the biggest hail you think is going to be right around here. Country Road H, just south of Mosby, County Road JJ. We've also got some pretty strong indications right here around Liberty and Roosterville. And let's take a look at the storm relative velocity. And looking right south of Polo. You're looking at this too, right, Melissa?
Yeah, I just had been pulling up some new information as well. The specific tornado warning has been, they had mentioned it was just east of Liberty. The latest update, ping pong sized hail as well. Okay. With that.
So we're okay. I see it. So this thing right north of Missouri City. What do you think about that?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
I think that's it right there. I think we found it. I just didn't see that bright green like I did Friday night. That really made this stand out. So between Missouri City and Mosby, that's where we're looking at.
Yes.
So right just south to the east of Stockdale. Right along this road right here, County Road H, that's 69. That's where we're seeing it. It's showing up much better on radar right now. So let me put a track on that to give you an idea of where it's going and when, where it's going and what to expect when it gets there. This is moving this way at about 35, 40 miles per hour. So this is a 30-minute track. So right now in Excelsior Springs, you should be in your safe space. Same thing at Excelsior Springs Memorial if you live near there. Wood Heights, please find your safe space. 740 Clevenger School. So right now it's about 7:25, 7:27, excuse me. So you have time to calmly, use your plan that you had before this storm system developed to get down to these areas where you can find your safe space. The thing is, not only tornadoes coming out of this, before the tornado comes in, there could be some ginormous hail out of these particular systems also. So you have to be aware of that. When you hear that thud, 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 a lot of times that's the large hail. That's going to come in first. And then likely right behind that thud, thud, thud is going to be the tornado. It gets quiet when there's a tornado coming, unless you can hear the tornado, because most of the air is going up instead of sideways, where we can feel it and we can also hear it a little bit better. So once the hail pulls through, if it gets quiet, please be aware that it's bearing down on you more than likely. Melissa?
Thanks, Mike. Just north of kind of Missouri City is where we're looking at this point. My radar looks a touch different than Mike's, but I wanted to point this out because north of Missouri City, continuing towards Miltondale, you need to be getting in your tornado safe place, as well as Excelsior Springs at this point. Know that this is moving very quickly, and it's generally just towards the northeast right now of kind of that Missouri City area, crossed over the highway, moving towards the Miltondale area, and eventually lifting up towards Wood Heights as well. So Miltondale needs to be in the tornado safe place. I imagine that this is going to continue to lift up towards the northeast as well, kind of towards that Wood Heights, in between Wood Heights as well as Elkhorn right now. So know that even with the tornado threat in there, Mike had just mentioned that we're looking at still large hail. Ping pong sized hail looks to be a possibility with this storm as well. That is what it is warned for. And so if you are in the Missouri City area and in the Miltondale area, you need to be getting in your tornado safe place at this point. And this continues to move off towards the northeast. So eventually, most likely moving towards the Wood Heights and then into the Elkhorn area. I did want to let you know that the other tornado warning that was in effect towards the north has been canceled. So that's the good news there. So the one tornado warning we've got right now at this point is portions kind of the eastern side of the metro. I'm going to take the kind of Doppler winds off right now, show you back onto your radar to kind of look closer at what is happening, not only for that tornado threat, but also you can see on this specific storm, there is a whole lot of lightning that is currently happening on this storm in the entirety of the area. Lots of lightning happening, heavy rainfall, as well as that potential for a tornado, as we had mentioned, that we're tracking, but also ping pong sized hail. Mike, over to you.
Yeah, I think I've got it dialed in once again. It's past Missouri City, it looks like, and it's heading towards Miltondale. It's just to the north of Miltondale. It looks like it's going to go right between Excelsior Springs and possibly Wood Heights. But just because it might move between you doesn't mean this won't shift a little bit north or south. So yes, Excelsior Springs and Wood Heights, as we've been telling you, Melissa's been telling you, go ahead and find your safe space right now, calmly and quickly. This is Highway 10, in case you were wondering where we are here. This is Missouri City. So we had a storm, was it a storm spotter that did see a funnel in Missouri City. So we are seeing the tightening of this circulation. It's still not the greatest circulation I've ever seen for a tornado, but it is tighter than those hail core circulations we were seeing earlier. And we have the possibility of a funnel cloud, and that's just a tornado that hasn't reached the ground. We call it a funnel cloud. Once it reaches the ground, it becomes a tornado. So there is something in the air over Miltondale right now. That is our latest scan. It just came in, and it shows you this rotation right over Miltondale. We need to be careful in Miltondale. We need to be taking our phone, watching us on streaming or watching us on some kind of app. Take the phone with you. Find your safe space now. Melissa, do you have something?
Thanks. I wanted to put a track too on Miltondale. Miltondale needs to be in the tornado safe place right now, but further down the line for places of where we need to be getting in our tornado safe place as we kind of lift up towards the northeast. Eventually Elkhorn's going to be in that, but I wanted to give some landmarks as well. Right now it is 7:32, so 7:37. If you live near Wallace School, you've got about 5 minutes to get in your tornado safe place spot right now at this instant. Around 7:41, we're moving towards Excelsior Springs Memorial, so eventually a little bit down. And looks like, as we had just mentioned, looks like they just lifted the tornado warning.
Well, that radar, the last radar scan I showed, it didn't look as impressive,
Yes.
did it? So that's some good news.
So even with that good news, know that even these specific places as well, as I was just listing off, we know that severe storm is headed your way. We know that it has the possibility for large hail. We have seen many confirmations of large hail this evening. So even as we kind of track what was that potential rotation, even places towards Wallace School, as I had mentioned, keep in mind Excelsior Springs towards Wood Heights, that potential for that kind of large hail still exists at this point. And Mike, I think something that we could look at as well is just where the storm reports through our graphics, that kind of line of those storm reports that we have seen tons and tons of storm reports coming through the area. So right now, if you live in the Miltondale area, in Elkhorn, up towards Excelsior Springs, that tornado warning has expired, has been lifted. Now you are still in that severe thunderstorm warning. However, the main threats now are going to be that kind of large hail. So let's take a look at kind of our bearings at this point, because for the most part, the Kansas City Metro, the 435 loop, is now dry. So for the most part, even on the back side of this, some portions of our kind of southern Platte County and portions of Clay County still included in that. But the storm overall is continuing to lift up toward the northeast. So on the southern end, Liberty, as you look up towards the north, it's kind of one large severe thunderstorm warning at this point, up towards Gomer, up towards Chillicothe as well. So kind of still seeing that kind of linear line that we're watching up towards Chillicothe at this point. I'm going to put a kind of question mark on here. And by question mark, I mean query. That's what we call it. But I wanted to get kind of the latest what they're thinking for the size of hail, ping pong sized hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds. There is still that threat of a tornado possible. Something we're going to continue to watch is that rotation in those storms, as Mike and I, as we had been, if you've been watching us here for a little bit, have seen a little bit of rotation. There was just a tornado warning. We've had 2 so far this evening, but that threat is still there. Know that this continues until 8 p.m. So we've got about 35 more minutes on it. Mike?
All right, we're going to talk about hail, and we're going to show you and listen to this hail out of North Kansas City. And that is a broken windshield. Oh, did you see that? Watch this.
I was recording. As long as it doesn't break through. Do you think it's going to break through?
Oh my goodness, the timing of that. Do you think it's going to break through? And then bam! The coating on her windshield. All of our windshields have a coating on it, and they also are meant to break into tiny, tiny pieces when this happens so we don't get large shards coming at us. So her windshield, the safety mechanism on her windshield, it worked. Now, for that kind of damage, just from my personal experience, because I've had a car get damaged by baseball-sized hail, that was probably baseball or bigger. That may have been just a little bit bigger. It may have been right around Lake Wacomas. That's where we had 3.5-inch hail. And you can't run from it, unfortunately. There's nothing she could do except for stay in her car and stay safe. And thankfully, her windshield held, but that same coating is not on your side windows, okay? So that's something to think about when a storm is coming your way. You like to kind of turn into the wind so the winds are coming at you. That way they can go over the car and not push you sideways. That way if the hail's coming at you, it's coming at the windshield, not the side windows. That could break a lot easier. So they did the right thing by staying in the car and having it pointed that way when that huge hail hit their car. Wow, that was quite intense, Melissa.
Thanks, Mike. I wanted to go back again. We just saw a kind of latest update on this specific thunderstorm warning. Now confirmation of that hail, that ping pong sized hail. So it has been confirmed that there's hail, but even as you see, it is hard to see the town names behind me just because of how much lightning there is. So if we turn off this lightning, looks like probably the hail core is just south of the Excelsior Springs area, but still rain and thunderstorms back towards Missouri City, all the way up towards Rayville for that heavy rain. So know that that continues here until 8 p.m. has been confirmation of that hail. Here is likely where that hail core is at this point, kind of on the northern side of Missouri City, and then on the southern side of Excelsior Springs. Now, in between that, if we get real close, between about Miltondale up towards Excelsior Springs, that's where more of that hail core probably is at this point. And also, I kind of wanted to point out, too, you could see a lot of lightning occurring on that storm that's looking out north. I assume this is looking at that specific storm as well. So if we take the kind of tower cam specifically, looks like that was looking at, here we go, looking at the northern side of that storm. You can see a lot of lightning out there. You can see the cumulonimbus cloud, obviously all the way up towards the kind of northern side, or I should say the sky, as you could see, flattening out a little bit as well. But a lot of lightning we're seeing with that specific storm. Looks like intra-cloud lightning. Haven't seen much kind of cloud to ground lightning, but I haven't been watching it for very long. So here right now is where we're looking at for that kind of indication right now where the specific kind of larger hail would be. So as we had mentioned, there has been confirmation of ping pong sized hail with this specific warning. And so if we put on our kind of query, I wanted to, let me turn off the warning so it doesn't pop up the warning behind it and read that information from the warning. But you could still see kind of in the shape of a heart, actually. That size around 1 inch. However, we saw that confirmation of kind of ping pong sized hail. So there still is a possibility for ping pong sized hail. This specific radar output is putting closer to around a quarter size of hail, even back towards the southern side of Stockdale as well, seeing a little bit of that blue color starting to pop up, and then even back towards Liberty on the back side, because now we're kind of nearing the back edge of the storm. Basically what we're looking at from the tower cam, this is where that back edge of the storm is. So maybe still seeing some hail, which would probably be around an inch and a quarter towards Liberty, and then in places like Stockdale starting to see more of that quarter-sized hail as well. So as you can see, even kind of throughout this storm specifically, all the way from Clay Como, all the way towards Excelsior Springs, let me zoom out a little bit, all the way towards Excelsior Springs is where we are seeing kind of that hail core right now. But right now what's jumping out to us is mainly what's south of Excelsior Springs, kind of crossing over that county line, just kind of east of that Missouri City area as well. So we're looking at kind of heavy rain, a lot of lightning with this specific part of the storm. As I mentioned, we click on the lightning and overall it's pretty much hard to see the storm itself. A lot of lightning. We saw that on our kind of tower cam that we had there as well. You can still see it on the eastern side, but here is all of that lightning. Even if we play it as a loop, there has been that much lightning with the storm over the last, 10, 15 minutes or so. So still seeing that potential for large hail, still seeing those gusty wind potential, and a lot of lightning as well with this specific part of the storm. So no, right now, I kind of want to give the all clear from this round, as Mike had mentioned, if you've been watching us, we're still going to have the possibility to see more rain and storms tonight, especially as we get closer, into the kind of later evening hours. It's just about 7:41 right now. But if you live in the 435 loop, things are pretty quiet now at this time. It is the storms that are lifting up towards the northeast that have that kind of stronger punch all the way up towards Chillicothe as well, stretching towards Bramer, down towards the kind of east side of Liberty. Now moving out of Liberty, but still there's still some lightning strikes that are happening in Liberty at this point. Mike?
I was just reading the latest update from the Storm Prediction Center, and while these storms have done quite a bit of damage, that is the hail track so far. It's been 80 miles. Well, it's longer than that now because it's just updated to Chillicothe. This is just the first round, and that's why the tornado watch goes until midnight, is because this is firing up along the cold front. The cold front is ever so slowly sinking down to the south, and all of this south of the river down into Johnson County, Miami County, all the way down to Garnett, all the way over to Sedalia hasn't been touched yet. There's a lot of energy there. It is capped right now. What is breaking the cap is the cold front. The cold front, the heavier air coming in like a wedge, or like your snow shovel, if you will, and the way it throws the snow up, or a snowblower, same thing. It manually lifts it, and that's why we have this. So this is what the atmosphere will possibly support. Apple-sized hail, 70-mile-per-hour winds, an EF2 to EF3 tornado, which is winds up to 150 miles per hour. Thankfully, we haven't had that. We had a funnel cloud near Missouri City just a few moments ago, but then, as has been the case, that big circulation, or that smaller circulation, became a bigger circulation. And when it becomes a bigger circulation, it slows down a little bit, but the air is still rising fast enough that we're still seeing a lot in the way of updrafts that can support hail. I mean, look at all of these hail reports. There's a new report right there near Barrie. Let's take a look at this one. I haven't seen this one yet. And there it is. Tree damage northeast of Lake Wacomas. Time confirmed radar thunderstorm wind damage. So we are seeing some damage, and that was not a tornadic one. I believe that was straight line winds through that one. And that is what we're dealing with. That's why all three options are always on the table: the straight line winds, the twisting tornadoes, and the large hail. So we still have till midnight to get through this. And we've got some video to show you right now. Let's take a look at that. North Oak and 152 Highway. That's a Bluebell. Is that a quart of Bluebell ice cream to give us a reference of just how big it is? That is so smart. Thank you so much. So I'm thinking, what do you think, Melissa? That's about baseball size?
That looks closer to baseball size to me, yeah.
Dr. Pepper flow flavor, right? Yeah, that's interesting. So we appreciate that. And that one, when you could put it in the palm of your hand like that, that's baseball size.
Yep.
And look at the jagged edges. That means there's a lot of hail floating around in those storms, but the updraft is so strong, it's sitting in the storm, it's waiting to latch on to some of these bigger pieces, and then when it gets so heavy from all these bigger pieces latching onto it, that's when it falls down to the ground. So that gives you an idea that the hail is suspended up in the thunderstorm, just waiting to fall down. And unfortunately, it's such a strong updraft that it takes baseball-sized hail for it to finally overcome that updraft and fall down to the ground and break. That looks like a rear window. We've seen a Honda Accord. That was in Parkville, right? That Honda Accord that had the window shattered, the back window shattered. So this is what has been the main threat, continues to be the main threat out of these storms, and this is what we're going to continue to watch. All right, Melissa, let's send it back to you. What are you looking at?
We've got a new warning. Overall, I wanted to put it in play to kind of show you what we like to call kind of splitting cells, basically, at this point. So the line overall has been lifting up towards the northeast, but you can see with the new warning, it's kind of splitting off towards the east, the one specific storm. So we do have a new severe thunderstorm warning right now at this point. You can see heavy rain. We're seeing a lot of dark red back onto that. But even with the potential for that kind of large hail, still seeing that large hail potential, as well as 60-mile-per-hour winds. So threats still considerable at this point for this specific severe thunderstorm warning that includes Caldwell, Carroll, Clay, and Ray counties. This is just east of the Excelsior Springs area, but even back towards Excelsior Springs, as you can see, we're starting to see kind of that darker purple, which, you know, indicates, well, one, very heavy rain, but also just ahead of that, still seeing that hill core. So it looks like heaviest rain back towards Excelsior Springs, down towards the hill core, towards Rayville, and then back over towards the east, continuing on in that kind of warned area. As I had mentioned, we are looking at that possibility for large hail, of course, but also 60-mile-per-hour winds. Right now, this is moving around 40 miles an hour. So 2-inch sized hail is a possibility with this. Right now, it appears like where we probably have that hail core is in between the Excelsior Springs and into the Rayville area. So I'm going to kind of go into a closer look at that. And as you can see, there's where we're seeing that hail core right now. The darker blues we've been talking about, even towards Rayville, seeing some even kind of closer to darker blue. We just got the latest update scan right there. So Rayville likely seeing, if there is hail falling, the largest hail from this specific part and this specific storm itself. I'm going to take the warning off so I could be able to kind of give you the latest information on how large the radar thinks that could be. But know this specific storm is warned for 2-inch hail. Right now, radar indicating around 1.5 inches of hail. Either way, that is large hail at this point. So I am going to put a track on this, but no back towards Rayville. Hail, heavy, or I should say large hail, even back towards Excelsior Springs, likely seeing hail as well. And Mike, if you see any reports out of those areas, make sure to just shout them out to me as well. But I'm going to put a track on this because we are starting to see it a little bit further towards the east to some areas who have not seen storms yet. It's likely going to be moving towards the Lisle and the Carrollton area eventually, still moving quick. As I'd mentioned, 40, 45 miles an hour. So I'm going to put the track on that, mainly from where where that kind of hail core is. So more specifically, we can get a refined look at where it's going to be headed next. But no, if you live in the Lisle area, if you live in Carrollton, you've got time now, because we have been seeing time and time again these specific storms giving very large hail. If you want to go ahead and put your car or anything that, maybe a value you could take inside that could be, broken or destroyed by hail, make sure you do it right now. This storm specifically is moving around, I want to say around 40 miles an hour towards the east. So let's put a track on that right now. We're moving it from the hail core. It's moving towards the east around 40 miles an hour. Right now it is 7:48. So where the hail core would be, know that you're already seeing very heavy rain and lightning right now in Dockery, but around 7:53, that's where likely that hail core is going to be over your area. Once we get closer to around 8 p.m., Millville starting to see that hail core moving in, and then eventually Carrollton around 8:32. So at a little bit less than an hour. Mike, can I send it over to you?
Yeah, I'm just looking at a rotation here. It just seems to be tightening a little bit, but north of Oric, between there and Elkhorn. And when I take a look at the radar, you're seeing a little bit of, I wouldn't say a hook, but you're seeing a little bit of something that may be developing right there north of Oric. So I'm just keeping an eye on it just in case that is one of those updrafts right here that starts to tighten and possibly brings us another funnel cloud out of these storms as they move through. So this is Oric, this is Elkhorn, and this is what we're looking at right here. So Swanwick, Rayville, Dockery, all those areas you just mentioned, there may be a gust of wind coming with that small hail also, and that means get away from the windows because the hail could be coming down sideways. So it's, again, a severe thunderstorm warning with that considerable tag, because the hail could at least be a golf ball size, if not larger, out of that. And I was just looking around, and look at this, Melissa, that's the only game in town. And the cold front is up to our north, and the temperatures are significantly cooler behind it, but it's just not moving. And that's why it's 7:50 right now. We still have, 4 hours and 10 minutes of this particular tornado watch still going. So keep it here. We'll keep you live. I want to mention one thing before we get to Zach. I saw on our Facebook page, somebody said the sirens were going off in Raytown. Okay, the only thing I can guess is the sirens are on a grid, and the grid that covered the area where the tornadoes were maybe dipped down to Raytown also. That's the only thing I can think of, because there was no tornado warning for Raytown. So that's why you come back here when you hear those sirens. We'll show you exactly where that tornado is at street level, and we'll show you where it's going. But there was no tornado over Raytown earlier today. Zach?
Yeah, Mike, we've been watching the roadways because we've been seeing a number of crashes, likely maybe weather-related. This is I-35 at County Road A, just about north of Liberty. The camera is on the southbound side. That's why it says southbound. But the crash appears to be in the northbound lanes. You see at least one vehicle here, but this appears to be a number of vehicles involved. It's just really hard to make out. Now, in the same area, not too far away from here, there's a second crash. If we can flip to that at I-35, you see this one. This is I-35 at 291. With this one, we believe it is in the southbound lanes. You see at least one vehicle there, but several emergency vehicles on the scene here. Again, as we don't know the exact information of what's happening here, but given the road conditions out there, the hard rain that was coming down, this very well may have been someone hydroplaning out there on the roadways. So a number of crashes that we are monitoring at this hour. So if you know anybody heading out on the roadways, just take it slow out there because it's slippery, it's wet, and it can be dangerous. Melissa?
Thanks, Zach. We're going back to that one severe thunderstorm warning right now that does include Caldwell, as well as Carroll, Clay, and Ray counties. As you can see, a lot of heavy rain, one following, a lot of lightning, number two. This continues until 8:30 p.m. Hail is a possibility with this. We're still looking at 2-inch size hail, so keep that in mind. These storms have had a history at this point of producing small to very large hail. Something we're also watching right now at this point is what is happening down towards kind of the southern edge of this particular signature of the radar, something we're keeping an eye on for possible kind of rotation. There's not a tornado warning right now. It's something that we're going to continue to watch here as this warning plays out. But we know that the hail core likely around Rayville right now at this point. You can see kind of that lighter color that we've been watching, talking about those hail cores. And even as we take a closer look at our hail tracker in specifically putting now kind of where that kind of larger hail could be, or the better chance for hail, just east of Rayville at this point. You can see it go from darker blue to purple back towards Excelsior Springs, Wood Heights, still seeing that kind of lighter blue color. Looks like we just got an update of that severe warning, which I'll take a look at in just a second. But know that the hail probably in the backside of this storm right now, and then eventually going to be moving up towards the northeast here over the next couple of hours. So let's see. Right now, they kind of have confined overall the warning specific area from this portion of the storms, because as you can see, they've been linear here for a little bit of time. Now the only two warnings, we've got one out of the area, and the only one that's left is the one that we're watching right now. So latest update with that, as I kind of take a closer look, as they send out updates periodically about the specific warnings. I want to make sure I'm not missing anything for you. 2-inch hail, still a possibility, 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. The threat is still considerable. We have seen these storms time and time again here over the last 2 hours dump very large hail. So please make sure if you are living in the Lisle area, if you are in Carrollton, even if you're kind of on the northern edge, or I should say the eastern edge of this storm, you've got time now to go ahead, get whatever you need to get inside for that possibility for hail and large hail as it gets closer to you. So right now, where we're looking at kind of the largest hail being is even towards the east of the Rayville area over towards Dockery more specifically. If we kind of take a closer look, our Mike Nico's got that pulled up right now as well.
Yeah, you're looking at the exact area. You nailed it. I just happen to have it a little bit closer view on Max 2, and it's moving through Dockery right now on Highway 13, heading over to Highway B, and that is just south of Highway K, which goes up towards right there, Millville. So Millville, you've got a storm that's possibly putting out 2-inch hail, maybe even 2.5, getting up near baseball-sized hail, so you want to make sure you're inside right now. This storm is moving off to the east-northeast. This is the one that's taking a little bit more of an easterly jog. And so let's take a look real quick at some of the areas that may be in its path. We'll put a little bit more of an easterly path on this. So if you know where Stet School is, Stet, Prairie View School, 807, 808, 811. We're looking at the roads at 814, Pleasant Valley School at 819. So far this has been mainly a hail event out of this. We did have some reports of 98th Street in Kansas City where a tree was down.
They just added a tornado warning.
They just put it for that one?
Yes.
Okay, let's go.
I assume it's going to be just east of Richmond right now, as you can see highlighted in that red box. Mike and I have been kind of watching the specific storm, as I had mentioned, that possibility of rotation. I'm assuming, just looking off radar, it's likely in this area at this point. I'm going to kind of take a kind of look at what specifically, if they've got any more information about how long this goes, as well as any other information that is going to be necessary for me to relay this information to you right now. So this goes until 8:30 p.m. Right now it is 7:56. Carroll, Ray counties are included in this tornado warning. Right now, it is moving east around 40 miles an hour. That tornado possibility, as well as hail up to 2 inches in diameter. So I'm going to work a little bit closer to see kind of where we're looking at, where we could see some of that rotation. We'll put a track on it. We'll kind of get a little bit zone by zone, especially if you are living in the Carrollton and Ray area and you are just joining us now. There is a tornado warning for your area that continues until 8:30. So if you are in that area right now, you need to be getting to your tornado safe place. But right now, where I most likely think we are probably looking at is kind of that southern end right here that we're seeing right now. So new tornado warning. I want to get a little bit of a closer look at this right now. Specifically, it says, if I've got some more information here.
It's till 8:30.
8:30.
And it looks like it's heading towards Swanwick and Rayville in that area. If we look at the radar and trying to look at the velocities, we're seeing something right there around Morton. You can definitely see a nice rotation right here. This is away from the radar. The radar's down here. This is away from the radar. Red, green is going towards the radar. So we're seeing something between Millville and Morton, which means it's heading towards these areas that I mentioned before, Regal, Stet, and Rockingham. Please, roads, downstairs, most interior room, slowly, calmly. The kids will take your cues and they will do the same. And if they are upset, just make sure you keep listening to us. We'll walk you through this whole situation. This is radar indicated, correct?
Yes.
Tornado. So we haven't got confirmation that is actually on the ground tearing anything up yet, but it's possible that it could. So when that happens, that's why the warning is issued, and that's why we need you to go ahead and find your safe space. Now let me put a quick track on
I've
this.
got a tracker on here.
All right,
if you
let's
want
go
to
over
throw
to
it back to me.
There
So
we
around 8:05 p.m. moving towards Rockingham. So that gives you about 6 minutes. So you need to get everything you need to go into your tornado safe place. Right now, if you are in Morton, you already need to be in that tornado safe place right now. By 8:10, we look a little bit further down. That's going to be towards Prairie View School. So right now it is 7:58. Know that this could pick up speed a little bit more or slow down, but right now you've got about 10 minutes to get everything you need, move it into the tornado safe place at this point. As kind of Prairie View School, 8:10. 5 minutes before moving towards the Rockingham area. So we're watching that potential. We've got radar indicated rotation, likely just a little bit north of the Morton area. If we take the kind of tracker off that, kind of zoom in to where we're looking at right now, we're looking at kind of where that kind of green and red is touching at this point. So starting to see a little bit of that occurring, of course, as we mentioned, there is that tornado warning, but Morton needs to be getting in their tornado safe place. Rockingham needs to be getting in their tornado safe place as well. This is moving off towards mainly the east at this point. So no, not only is this warned for a tornado, also warned for 2-inch hail at this point. So there is the possibility of hail as well. So make sure that you are moving to the interior-most part of your home for that tornado warning and that rotation, but also, as we had mentioned, for that hail. We've been seeing production of hail from these specific storms at this point. Anywhere from nickel all the way up to softball-sized hail we have seen with these specific storms at this point. So as we look right now, we're going to continue to get a little bit of some later scans in. Looks a little bit maybe more towards the north as it did a little bit earlier. But
maybe heading towards Regal more than Stet, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't go down to your safe space instead. It did take a little bit of a jog to the north. Good, good observation there, and that does put Regal more in the crosshairs a little bit than Stet does. But please, in all those areas, go down to the ground. You can see here's Stet, here's the circulation, and if it keeps going, it could go right between those two. But either way, go down to your safe space. Now, Millville, stay in your safe space. You're not in the clear yet. These things are like tops, and you know when you spin a top, it can kind of move around. So these don't necessarily always go in a straight line. They can curl a little bit. So Millville, stay down in your safe space. Same thing with Rockingham. Just because you're on either side of it, it could float your way. So please stay where you are. Rhodes, Stet, Regal, all of you, lowest floor, most interior room, find your safe space, exercise that plan that you put into effect, as this is a tornado radar indicated that's moving off to the northeast. So we're going to keep an eye on that one. Just looking at the radar, I did look at the debris tracker. Looks good. We're not seeing the blue on the debris tracker. We would like to see some blue right around here, a small, maybe a couple of pixels of blue, which means that the tornado was lifting stuff off the ground in its irregular shape. And because it's an irregular shape compared to hail and rain, it would show up on this debris tracker. So we're not seeing that. So that's a good sign so far. Back to you, Melissa.
Thanks, Mike. We got an update, too, on this tornado warning. Still until 8:30, still continuing for Carroll and Ray counties, still including that tornado potential and then 2-inch hail as well. But latest kind of indications, the thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado, I should say, located near Hardin or around 8 miles northeast of Richmond, moving east now at 35 miles an hour. So it is moving a little bit slower than it once was. We're going to continue to kind of track this out and kind of look at our radar indicated rotation. But I want to take a kind of wider look, put our radar back on at this point, because when we start to see, a little bit of more of a notch, as I had mentioned, once again, here's a look at regular radar. So kind of right here is where we're looking at, and it's continuing to go to the east here very quickly, around 35 miles an hour, which is a little bit slower than it once was going. So keep that in mind. But if you are further down the line in this tornado warning, you've got time now to get whatever you need and go into your tornado safe place. So we're going to take another look to see our kind of Doppler winds right now. And as you can see, we're still seeing a little bit of that rotation as we kind of take a wider look. I want to kind of toggle on a different product here very quickly to see.
While you're doing that, let me say something really quick. The Carrollton, Missouri Fire Department just said they are sending out spotters right now for that storm that is coming your way. So that means we're going to have eyes on the ground. This is a radar indicated, but we're going to have eyes on the ground. And even though it's dark now, these spotters know what to look for in the dark. They know to look when the lights flash and what kind of clouds to look for. They've got to be lowering, but they also have to be rotating. A lot of times you'll see lowering clouds from the base of a thunderstorm, but if it's not rotating, it's what we call scud clouds. It's just nothing. It's just a condensation cloud that developed because the air is so moist. It has to be rotating. They know what to look for. They know how to look for the wall cloud. See if it's rotating. They look to see if the funnel's coming down out of it. And then when it touches the ground, remember what happened Friday night, one of the greatest ground truths to a tornado raking the ground is those blue flashes from the transformers that pop when either a tree falls on the line or the winds itself pull the line. So still looking at the debris tracker, I'm going to keep my eye on this a lot, and we're just not seeing anything right now, which is a great indication once again that there's nothing irregular in the air. Let me make sure I have the latest scan. All right, here's a look, and look at that near Norton, and look at that near Rockingham. That is a wide, very wide rotation. I'm hoping this thing is unwinding, but I'm not going to say it is. But
National Weather Service Mike said circulation is becoming more loose in the tornado warned storm, so we are seeing that correctly. But no, if you still are in the Rockingham area, you are still in this tornado warned storm. You need to make sure you're getting in your tornado safe place at this point. In addition to that, they did just issue for the kind of entirety of the storm. If we go back more specifically to radar, right now, they did kind of add in that severe thunderstorm warning for that entire storm itself. Where we see that tornado warning highlighted in red is one portion of the storm right now. So if you still are in Carroll and Ray counties, back towards Richmond, over towards Leslie, down towards places like Carrollton, still included in this storm. But know that it is also for those kind of strong winds as well as that 2-inch hail. Now, inside that tornado warning, as we had been mentioning, we've got that radar indicated rotation, and we also have that potential for large hail once again. So 2-inch hail, that's close to around tennis ball, tennis ball, golf ball sized hail. So right now, we're going to track out once again where we are seeing that possibility for that radar indicated rotation. But no, we're going to continue to watch both of these kind of parts of the storm at this point because they could be bringing large hail, and there is that tornado threat for one specific part of the storm. So let's take a closer look, kind of diagnose our radar right now at this point. As you can see, that red box, that is that tornado warning. That continues and will continue to move off towards the east, a little bit slower, around 35 miles an hour than it was previously. So as we had mentioned, the rotation itself is starting to kind of loosen, which is good news for one. But also, if we pause it, we're looking, we are generally seeing, if you're in the Rockingham area, if you are heading towards places like Steet, you need to be making sure you are in your tornado safe place. And eventually, as we head later down the line, we get out of that warning. So I'm going to put a little bit of a track on here, moving towards the east, northeast here, around 35 miles an hour at this point. So as we kind of look at where this could be headed. Right now it is 8:07. At 8:14, moving towards Prairie View School. You need to be getting, if you live near that area, if you live near that school, you need to be making sure you're getting in your tornado safe place. By around 8:30, moving out towards Trotter School, which moves out of the tornado warning, but you are still included in the severe thunderstorm warning at this point for the southern edge of this storm. Mike, can I send it over to you?
Absolutely. I continue to look at the debris tracker. I continue not to see anything that says there's irregular shaped debris in the air. I just checked with the Weather Service. The base of these thunderstorms are possibly too high for the circulation to make it down to the ground, and that is what is saving us. So what is likely happening when these winds come over top of you is you're going to feel a little bit of a wind shift. I've been through this before. I've had a funnel cloud and a wall cloud go over me, and the wind will all of a sudden abruptly switch directions, but it's not fast enough for it to be a tornado. It's just a broad circulation. So don't be surprised if you're in any of those areas that we mentioned. Let me show you the storm relative velocity heading up towards Stet and Rhodes, that your wind may switch directions just a little bit as that rotation comes over you, but it's not going to be what we're seeing right now, fast enough for a tornado, but it's something we're keeping an eye on. Do you see something new over there, Melissa?
No, I'm just kind of getting our bearings, kind of where and what's going on right now at this point. We've been so focused in on several of these storms, and rightfully so. We've had large hail. We've got a tornado warning right now. If you live in the Kansas City area right now, things are probably pretty quiet right there. Right now, we are seeing kind of that kind of push that we saw closer to around 5:30 to 7 o'clock move through the metro, now pushing off to our northeastern areas. We've got one severe thunderstorm warning left. We've got the tornado warning that's in effect. But I did want to point out there are some spotty showers that are trying to develop closer into the northern side of the metro. If we kind of take a close look, Gladstone likely seeing some rain right now at this point. I will toggle on the lightning to see if we're seeing any with that. Not right now. So that's the good news there, but we still pose the potential to see another round of strong to severe storms as we go into kind of the later hours tonight. But I wanted to get back to this tornado warning. We just got a new update for this specific tornado warning at this time. That's why it is flashing red. I am going to turn off the lightning. I am going to zoom into this tornado warning. We're going to go back. We're going to diagnose it once again, where we are seeing that possibility of rotation, and make sure everybody's in their tornado safe place.
It continues with 2-inch size hail at 8:09. That's what just came out.
So this continues till 8:30. Carroll, portions of Carroll and Ray County. If you are in Rockingham, likely seeing heavy rain right now at this point. This is where we're kind of watching. Once again, this kind of realm of the area of the storm is where we're watching right now at this point. Still moving kind of a little bit on the slower side now at 35 miles an hour. So we're going to toggle off our warnings below the radar so we can get a better look and zoom in onto some of our streets. And then I also want to put on our storm relative velocity. So right now, if we zoom in, we're kind of looking towards this specific area. If we can get any crossroads here, looks like heading towards the N Highway and highway towards State Highway E, if I'm reading that correctly. State Highway E. If you will live anywhere along that D highway right now, State Highway E, you need to be getting in your tornado safe place right now. As we continue to see this move towards the east, it's going to be moving around 35 miles an hour or so. Let's put a track on this, at least through the duration of where that warned cone is, around 8:12. So if you live near Prairie View School, you need to be getting in your tornado safe place right now. Make sure you're getting everything you need, getting into your tornado safe place. That is in the most interior room of your house, the lowest floor. If you've got a basement, that is a good place to go. Make sure you're still away from windows and still in that most interior part of your basement as well. So when we look at this storm, we see that potential for rotation. We also see that potential to see 2-inch sized hail. So large hail still a possibility with this specific storm and the parent storm of it all, as well as we're kind of tracking the possibility of that tornado at this time.
Got some new information for you.
Yes, Mike?
Yeah, let me take it. This is from law enforcement near Missouri City on the main hills of 210. There was some sheet metal oddly displaced. Didn't have a chance to check for any buildings. This would have been from my original radar report wise. So they saw maybe some damage in Missouri City. The tornado warning is latched to this boundary that you're seeing right here. And because it's latched to that boundary, it's going to fluctuate. So we're going to see that circulation get smaller, get bigger, possibly get smaller, get bigger as it continues to ride that boundary. And that is the boundary that is going to still be very active. Notice it's not moving. It's right along 35, and then it kind of goes over the river and then heads up more towards Chillicothe. And because that boundary is right there, if you're behind it, you're in much better shape. If you're in Northwest Missouri, Northeast Kansas, not calling the all clear, but that's why a lot of you are not in the watch right now, because you already have that northerly wind. But everybody else south of that, you are still in the watch, and that the reason why is because of those winds still coming out of the south and that boundary that's going to slip down right now. But still, that warning we're talking about is radar indicated. Still don't see much on the debris tracker. We're still looking for a small area of blue, and it's not showing up right now. And so that is some good news, but that is what I'm going to keep watching as Melissa keeps tracking this tornado warning and telling you more about it. Melissa?
Yeah, now it's just towards the east of Rockingham where we're monitoring that kind of rotation we've got going on. As I'd mentioned, kind of in between that Highway K as well as D Highway, and then over towards that State Highway E. So if you live anywhere near these areas, Highway K, over towards D Highway, down towards State Highway E, you need to be getting in your tornado safe place right now. This is moving towards the east around, as I had mentioned, 30, 35 miles an hour at this point. And know that this is a part still of that parent thunderstorm. Looks like we're getting a new scan. Now it's a little bit more towards the north and looking more up towards still that State Highway E, D Highway, kind of in that realm just east of D Highway, south of West Highway right now at this time. So if you live anywhere in between W Highway, State Highway E, and D Highway, you need to be getting in that tornado safe place right now. We are going to continue to watch and monitor that debris tracker, as we had mentioned. Mike had just showed you. This is the area that we're watching for that kind of potential rotation right now at this point. Still seeing that kind of flashing that's coming up right now. I'm looking at the latest information, making sure nothing's changed.
Some of the circulation starting to tighten just a little bit. Okay.
Yes. Still till 8:30, and now East Central Ray County is out of the warning. So keep that in mind. East Central Ray County out of the warning. Still seeing that possibility of large hail still included in that parent severe thunderstorm warning. But overall, this is still moving east at 35 miles an hour, and closer to kind of more of that highway system when we get closer into these counties. State Highway E towards D Highway, just east of D Highway right now at this point. South of West Highway, closer to that E Highway. Mike, can I send it over to you with the track?
Yeah, I'm looking at exactly what you're looking at because it's the hottest thing in town. That's what has our attention. It's that rotation that seems to be squeezing a little bit, tightening like the ice skater bringing their arms in. And it's right there where the box is, right where Bridge Creek School, right here is where we're looking. So these are the areas, these are the landmarks that are in the path of this potential tornado, the circulation, where it's the greatest, where it's the fastest, where it's the tightest. 8:27 is Leslie, so we've got a little less than 9 minutes. Coloma, 8:34, North Star School, 8:37. It's starting to get into a little bit more of a rural area which is good in the fact that there's not as many landmarks in the way, but it's going to be harder for us to get eyes on it because the spotters are going to be in an area where it's pretty hilly. They're going to try to get to the top of those hills and try to watch over those hills and see the storm come in. But it's moving into a little bit less densely populated area, so we'll really rely on the radar and those storm spotters they just sent out. But these are the areas that need to be in their safe place right now. Let's take a look, and you can see, let me go street level. Unless you have it, I'll go street level.
Ahead.
And so when I was talking before about highway, the highway right there, there's highway Y and there's highway K. That looks to be right where the best rotation is right now, just right on top of that to a little bit south of it. So it's going to look like going to head just south of Leslie, possibly just south of Coloma. But I did mention those two areas. Go ahead and find your safe space right now. Go ahead and go to the lower room, interior room. Take your phone with you. Take your pad, your iPad or whatever you have, tablet, and just if you have our app downloaded, we're on the app right now. Or you can follow us on Facebook. You can also follow us on YouTube and take that with you. And we'll keep you advised of what's going on because we're going to have your back through this whole situation. All right, back to you.
Yeah, so that rotation right now east of Steet, south of Rhodes. You can see Mike had just named out those cross streets, but also back on this backside of the storm, we're also seeing rotation, also seeing indications of large hail. Once again, as we had mentioned, this is a part of its own severe thunderstorm warning, parent thunderstorm, but a tornado warning in that. So while this says Doppler winds, we're actually looking at right now what is the radar indicated hail tracker. So we had mentioned 2 inches of hail possibility. That's closer to, your golf ball towards that kind of tennis ball sized hail. We've seen many reports of large hail this evening. That's been the primary hazard right now, just east of Steet, kind of spitting out anywhere between about 1 to 1.5 inches of hail. That hail core closer to kind of that county line, or not county line, I should say, Highway K and Highway D, where we could see kind of that larger hail, better potential for hail right now, but no, just a little bit more towards the east. That's where they're watching and where we are watching for that radar indicated rotation, just south of Rhodes and generally towards the central part in between that kind of 2 highway system, D Highway, State Highway E, kind of right in this general area at this point. It's going to continue to move east around 35 miles per hour, so moving a little bit slow. Looks like we just got a latest scan in here. Now it's starting to get a little bit more difficult to see as it's kind of on the outer edge of our radar.
From the Weather Service that it's becoming outflow dominant.
Okay.
So we're starting to see the possibility of some gusty straight line winds, not necessarily turning quite as much, but an outflow dominant storm means when that cold air rushes out, it shoves warm, humid air back into the storm, which could keep the tornadic threat going, but it could also create more storms out ahead of it along that gust front. So that's what the Weather Service is saying right now, Melissa.
Thanks, Mike. Here's the kind of look once again at that kind of parent severe thunderstorm. We're looking in this red box right now. That's where that tornado warning is. I want to get a check, too, of what's happening right now in the metro. We're starting to see maybe a little bit of back building along that front. Mike had just mentioned about that front that's stalled out right now. You could see some rain and thunderstorm activity starting to build back once again, close to the I-35 corridor and into portions of the Kansas City metro. So there are no warnings right now for the Kansas City metro area. We've got that tornado warning off toward the east, the severe thunderstorm warning off to the east, but I'm letting you know right now that we're starting to see some back building of some rain and storms from kind of Kansas City, the northern side, up towards Liberty, and then pretty spotty in between the metro and then where that severe thunderstorm warning and that tornado warning is right now. So we're going to take another look at kind of that rotation we're watching. We're going to zoom right into where that tornado warning is right now at this point. As we had mentioned, maybe a little bit more outflow, so pushing some winds out. But right now, that rotation is still going to be in between that Highway E, Highway D, or State Highway E, Highway D in between this specific area, mainly these kind of two black lines that we're seeing right there. Mike?
Yeah, can I just tell you that the Weather Service says they're probably going to let this tornado warning expire and not issue a new one because they're seeing the same thing that we're seeing, that this thing's becoming outflow dominant. The rotation is opening, which also means the hail should not be as big as it has been before because the updraft is not going to be quite as strong. So hopefully the hail size will also shrink a little bit. But I think what we're seeing as it's back building is the low-level jet starting to kick in. And that low-level jet is what's going to transport more energy, more wind, and reinvigorate that line that Melissa was showing you back to the west. And then we're going to start to see a whole nother round of severe weather possible. And this is the severe weather or the strong storms that we were talking about. Once these are starting to develop, they're going to train over the same area. Originally, the models had it down south of the metro, but it looks like the boundary is going to stall right where you're seeing these are. So then we're going to have these storms being fed by the low-level jet, which means even though the air has been worked over, it's feeding it new air. But it also means we're going to start to see more of a flood threat. It's dark outside right now. If you live near a creek or stream or some low-lying area that usually floods, keep an eye on this next batch of storms that come through because we've already seen about 2 inches of rain fall in this area. That means the ground is saturated and most of the rain's going to run off, and that's when those creeks and streams start to flood. We don't have a flood watch or anything like that, but that is the potential of what is coming next out of these storms that will also still likely be severe. Once the storms start to move out, we may see the hail drop a little bit out of these next storms, and the wind threat drop just a little bit, but they're still going to be severe. They could still produce quick spin ups. They could still produce, golf ball size hail, but maybe not the softball size hail we saw earlier. Let's hope that's the case with this trend, Melissa.
Thanks, Mike. Overall, we had mentioned that the National Weather Service said to expire this morning. We've got about 7 more minutes on it. It continues until 8:30 p.m. So we're going to go back in, kind of take a look at radar once again, but know that this is all a part of one parent supercell right now at this time. Going back towards Richmond, over towards Leslie, down towards the southern edge of Norborn, and then to just north of Hardin. So still watch the potential for hail. There is that tornado warning, which is set to expire, as we had mentioned. A little bit more broadening, generally turning into more of what we think is probably outflow winds. But at this time, know that we're going to continue to watch this storm as it continues to move off towards the east. Rotation overall has been broadening, but know that it'll expire here in about 6 minutes. Then what we'll be left with is the parent storm, which looks like they just issued to a new warning as a continuation, more likely, as this is moving off towards the east.
They just expired the tornado warning.
They did?
Yeah, 8/21 they expired it, so that's some good news.
Good.
There is a new discussion out about this tornado watch. Let me read over really quickly. Regional radar imagery showed that the initial cluster of thunderstorms that first formed over eastern Kansas and western Missouri had downscaled into a couple of stronger supercells, as we've been watching, with moderate buoyancy and strong deep layer shear. There's an increase in low-level shear, that's the jet coming in over the last hour. So coinciding with that, the development of more semi-discrete supercell structures is possible, which keeps tornadoes at the forefront if they can be discrete. Continuing strengthening of the low-level jet profile will continue the mesocyclones. That's the actual storm rotating itself before it tightens that and becomes a tornado. So we still have a tornado threat. We still have a large hail threat, and we still have a damaging gust threat. So the watch will continue, and we'll continue to watch this line. Melissa?
Thank you. It's a new severe thunderstorm warning in effect, Carroll, Sheridan, Ray counties. This continues until 9:15. That severe thunderstorm warning for ping-pong-sized hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds. This still moving east around 35 miles an hour. As we had mentioned, this storm had slowed down a little bit in comparison to the other storms that were going 40, 50 miles an hour moving towards the east. This specific storm split off kind of from the line that had occurred. That's where we started to see more of that tornadic threat as it was more by itself. more discreet, as Mike you maybe have heard Mike talking about what the Storm Prediction Center had just mentioned to relay to me. But know that right now, where we're probably seeing, as we've been seeing this entire time towards the backside of these storms, is where that kind of larger hail potential is setting up that hail core back towards Leslie and back towards the kind of western side of that warning. Light rain, thunderstorm activity towards Bosworth, and then in hail even towards Leslie, but starting to probably see that potential for some hail moving in towards the Leslie area right now at this point. So even if we take a look right now at what hail is looking like, as I turn off our sweeping radar, if I turn off our kind of watch warning here, and we can diagnose still that lighter gray color, so not as pungent as we've been seeing with these specific storms. Overall, we saw more of that kind of purpley, dark purple, dark blue with many of these storms that have been moving through. But I wanted to kind of do a little radar diagnosis of what possibly we could be seeing just south of Leslie in terms of size of hail. So it's putting out 0.4, which is closer to around penny-sized hail could be possible right now towards the southern portion of Leslie. Even if we get closer to that, even south of Steet, Rockingham, most likely around that same size could be possible, closer to around 1/2 of an inch to an inch. But know that these storms, this specific storm, is warned for 2-inch hail. We've seen time and time again of the hail confirmation as we've gone over the last about almost 3 hours now of very large hail, shattering windows, shattering windshields of cars, things like that. So we know that that hail potential is there for this evening, and it will continue to be as we go through the evening. And Mike and I had mentioned maybe starting to see it form more into a linear line. We did kind of see that occur. They started off as discrete cells parading along the I-35 corridor, and then eventually conglomerated all together as they started to kind of take that flow towards the north. So we put back on our sweeping radar. Here's a look at this storm right now. As you can see, mainly seeing heavy rain with that. There is that gusty wind potential of 60-mile-per-hour winds, and where we think probably we're seeing kind of that hail core is south of Leslie and back towards the west. So those areas where we're watching for that hail, I want to put on our lightning tracker to see if we're seeing a lot of lightning, not as much as it once was producing, but it does look like the heaviest part of rain from that storm still on the backside of it as we get closer kind of to the southern edge of that storm north of Rockingham right now at this point to mainly our eastern areas. That's where that warning continues on to be. So no, this is extending out towards the east, back as we look towards the southwest. We've been watching, we've been talking about that stalled boundary that's there, seeing some thunderstorm activity towards the northern side of Kansas City, the heart of downtown, and then up over towards Liberty along I-35 towards Excelsior Springs. So we'll continue to watch these two storms overall and what's kind of developing towards the metro right now. But I want to get over to Mike.
Yeah, I'm looking at the environment, trying to forecast what's going to happen with these next storms, as you mentioned. And what I'm seeing is some cool air up across the Northland that's in the low or the mid to upper 60s. This air has been worked over. The low-level jet could make it up there, but more likely the front is sliding southward. So the threat's going to shift a little bit farther to the south where you see the temperatures in the 70s, which means places like DeSoto and Shawnee that were already hit, downtown Kansas City, maybe just south of the river where we've got these mid-70s. That's where we're looking at a better chance for these next storms to be severe. The Weather Service was just talking about those storms that are currently developing, and they say they're behind the front, which means they're going to be elevated. They'll watch for wind and hail, but these are not expected to be as robust because they're in that cooler weather, and they're going to be high-based. They're not going to be so close to the ground where the warmer weather is, where the warmer temperature and humidity is, and you can really see it. Remember this line? This is our line of convergence. This is where the cold air is coming in from the north, the warm air is coming down from the south, the cold air is lifting it. So now that convergence line is closer to the river. It's closer all the way back to about Lenexa, and then it drops down more towards Ottawa. So as that shifts down to the south, we're going to start to see this area light up. So if you're in the southern part of the metro and you haven't seen anything yet, it's because it hasn't made it to you yet, but it's getting very close. Melissa?
Thanks, Mike. I'm working on putting on a track here on that specific one severe thunderstorm warning we've got going on right now. I wanted to give you a kind of wide view look. Once again, you can see that storm lifted up a little bit more towards the north, kind of more empty space, or not thunderstorming towards Carrollton. So now on kind of the northern side of the warning. So Leslie seeing heavy rain, likely seeing the possibility of some large hail up towards Bosworth and then down towards Mendon. So this kind of spans a kind of wide view. And what we're going to do is we're going to put a track on it, because we're going to track it from where we're likely seeing that hail core, where the highest hail potential is. That is just south of Leslie. Highlighted in that gray color is something we're kind of watching here. But here's a look at, and let's see if I could zoom out. So we've got a little bit of space to put this box. Let me move this down towards the south. Looks like I might have to put the box back on. Let's try this again. Make sure everybody can be able to see where this storm is going and where it is moving out of. So going to track it from where we're looking at where the kind of strongest part of the storm is, likely towards the central portion of the storm, moving out towards the east, 30 miles an hour. So lighter rain on the kind of eastern edge of this right now, but back towards it is where the storm's a little bit more robust, back towards the northern side of Norborne and Carrollton. So once we get towards Bosworth around 8:50, right now it is 8:32. Compton School closer to 9 o'clock. So Compton School seeing rain right now, but where we're watching that potential for the heavier rain, the gustier winds, as well as more of that kind of hail threat closer to the centralized part in the kind of south part of the storm. And by south, I should really say the western part of the storm back there towards Northbourne. So around the time we get to about 8:58, closer to 9, Compton School, and then 9:02 p.m. towards Triplet. And then eventually after 9 p.m., 9:05, 9:06, that is towards Brunswick. So we're looking ahead at where this is kind of core part of the storm is going to be moving. We're keeping that close eye on what's kind of transpiring right now over the metro. So if you're just joining us right now, there have been several severe thunderstorms that have gone through parts of the Kansas City metro up the I-35 corridor, traveled towards Excelsior Springs, over towards the eastern portions of our coverage area. Many of those had severe thunderstorm warnings, and we have seen many reports of large hail. That has been the primary threat that we have seen so far with this kind of parading line of storms we had move through the area. That parading line, the last one we've got left, is off towards the east. What we're seeing back towards the metro and south of Excelsior Springs, west of Hardin, these are new storms that we're going to be watching. Mike and I had talked about possibly them being elevated. They're behind a front, which means they're more likely to pose that hail and wind threat rather than a tornadic threat right now. Mike?
Yeah, that severe thunderstorm warning continues, good news is it's not a considerable tag, which is 1 3/4 inches, which is golf ball size hail, and it's not a destructive tag, which is baseball size hail, which we've seen out of these storms. So what you're looking at here are smaller hail signatures from the radar. If they were huge hailstones, once again, we would see some blue in here. We'd see some light blue, some dark blue around Rockingham and Leslie, Tina and Coleman. So likely this is still producing quarter-size hail, which is severe. It's 1 inch, but it's not producing the very large hail that we saw earlier. And that's why the considerable tag was dropped from this particular storm. Looking at what is going on outside, we can take a look really quick at the debris tracker. We're not seeing much. That may be some hail, some of those green areas, but we're not seeing anything. Looking at the rotation right now, there's still a nice rotation south of Colma, Leslie, and Tina on 65, but it's broad once again. It looks like it's about 7-8 miles wide. That's too wide for a tornado, so it is kind of relaxing that rotation, but strong enough for quarter-size hail. So that's a good sign that this one is continuing to move on. It's the temperatures that are, again, if you're just joining us, let me kind of reset real quick what we're dealing with the rest of the night. And what we're dealing with is this tornado watch that it's 8:35, so we've still got, what, a little less than 3.5 hours. And the only area that's really been touched has been Eudora, the Northland, Richmond, Chillicothe, Kirksville, that area north of the river. The rest of this, we still have to keep our guard up. We have to keep watching or keep monitoring the weather through our app because those storms are starting to pop. Thankfully, as Melissa talked about, those storms are popping right now over the same area. Oh, wow. We just got a new report of 4-inch hail 1 mile southeast of Weatherby Lake in Platte County at 6:29 this morning. 4-inch size hail. Wow,
Or you
that's
mean
bigger than
this evening?
softball. I'm
This
sorry?
evening?
Yeah, that was that storm. That's the biggest we've seen. The biggest before that was over Lake Wacomas, and it was 3.5 inch. It was softball size. So now, near Weatherby, what was that again?
4 inches.
4 inches, yep.
4 inches, just 1 mile southeast of Weatherby Lake in Platte County. Wow, that is huge. That actually exceeded what the Storm Prediction Center thought this air mass could produce. They thought it could produce up to 3.5 inch hail, and it went and overachieved and pushed up 4.5 inch hail. And I think let me see if I've got the hail tracks, if we can see that. And there's the hail track of these storms, and this only goes back about an hour. Let's see if I can get it to go back maybe the last 2 hours and see if we can see the hail track.
I've also got
Look at that. You can see it coming right through. You've got it dialed down?
Yeah, that
All right.
specific location. So as you can see, it's this little dot here to the right. I'm going to zoom in on that, but social media photo and estimate, time based on radar, as we had mentioned, 4-inch size hail. So if we kind of zoom in to where specifically that report came in, as you can see, it's that little hail box closer to North Laney. Oh, looks like we're losing the box. Closer to Northwest Laney Drive, and if I kind of get across street, closer in between Northwest Laney Drive and then Northwest Lamar Drive. So somewhere in that realm, can't get a pinpoint location with this specific kind of storm report we've got through our system, but it is somewhere in that general vicinity between Northwest Lamar Drive and then Northwest Langley Drive as well. So large hail, 4 inches. That has so far been the highest or the largest hail report that we have seen so far today. There has been a plethora of reports. If we take a wider look, I'm zooming out, as you can see where we've seen many of those reports. It started off in DeSoto. That's where storms started to fire up, lifted up towards the northeast. Bonner Springs saw many reports, and then even up towards Parkville. That is between Parkville, that Weatherby Lake, that is where we've seen majority of the reports come in on the north side of the 435 loop. Parkville over towards the northwestern side of 435 up towards Liberty. So a lot of hail has fallen today, and we're going to continue to watch the potential for hail and winds, especially with what we're seeing starting to develop, not from this specific severe thunderstorm warning, but from what's developing back along the I-35 corridor towards the Kansas City Metro. No warnings right now for the Metro. We've still got that one severe thunderstorm warning that's off towards our eastern counties right now. Mike?
Yeah, Melissa, I just wanted to show something. It's ways away, but we're seeing severe weather down around Wichita, but we're seeing out ahead of it some stuff starting to bubble up around Madison and Burlington. Okay, this is our viewing area, the western line of our viewing area. You can see it's a little bit lighter. We're starting to see some stuff pop around Ottawa and heading towards Olathe. I'm not saying it's severe, but that could be that next round developing because that's where we were seeing it with the models. So we're just going to keep an eye on that. Nothing severe, but if this gets aggressive because it's in an area that hasn't been touched, we will be sure to be back here. If there's a tornado warning, we'll be on social media. We'll have you covered every way we can. Brad?
All right, Mike, thank you. So let's recap everything that we've seen today. We've been tracking several tornado warnings, all of which have since expired. Storms first exploded this afternoon during KCTV 5 News at 6, dropping huge hail, some as big as softball-sized hail. We want to show you some of the best videos that we've received from viewers into the KCTV5 studios. This is from the Northland. Watch this. One of our viewers was driving out in the storm. You can hear some hail hitting the car, but then a huge hailstone. Look at that. Smashes the windshield right there as they're driving. Then over to Parkville. We want to show you this car's back windshield. Look at this. It is gone, shattered from the large hail that fell there. And there are some reports of hail up to 4 inches. Again, that's about softball size range. Over now to Lake Wacomas, the powerful hail ricocheting off the ground and this house. You can hear just how loud that got there. We have received dozens of pictures of today's huge hailstones coming down, some the size of baseball. We mentioned early softball size. If you have pictures of hail or any damage in your neighborhood, safely take a picture or video and then send it to us here at KCTV5. All you have to do is go to our website, kctv5.com, and then click on the Submit Photo tab. And we will continue to keep our eyes on storm chances tonight at 10 because we are expecting another round to come our way overnight. You've heard that from our meteorologists, Melissa and Mike, who've been here for the last over 3 hours watching and warning this storming for you. So to stay updated, download the First Warn 5 weather app. You can track live radar, get updates from our weather team as storms roll into your neighborhood, and you can stream updates and watch our weather team for free in the KCTV5 Plus app. It is free to download and use, and we do not ask for your information to sign in. You just search KCTV5 on your Roku, Apple Fire, or Google TV. Again, thank you, too, for getting everyone through this storm. A rocky hailstorm it was.
Yep.
And now we'll let you two get back to work because we've got more storms coming in.
Yes.
The possibility of more storms.
Possibility for more storms. Rain and thunderstorm activity likely to linger into the Wednesday morning commute as well. So we've got more of that severe weather threat turning more into kind of that flooding potential as we've been watching through the late night tonight and into the Wednesday morning commute.
All right, keep it here. We're with you over the air, online, on our KCTV5 News app. And of course, we'll be right back here with all the latest information tonight at 10 o'clock.